to do both. Enroll in our EFT payment option and save 5% on your auto insurance premium. EFT makes bill paying easy, convenient, and there's no worry of late payments. Visit BattleCreekINS.com today to contact your local Battle Creek independent agent. Start saving. Battle Creek Insurance. Better together.
Hi, everyone. Kendall Warnock, owner of A1 Automotive. At A1 Automotive, we believe every vehicle has a purpose, and every customer does too. That's why we focus on dependable repairs, honest recommendations, and exceptional speed in service. Our goal is simple: to help you travel confidently and safely wherever life takes you. A1 Automotive, driven by purpose, built on trust. You can visit us online, a1autolincoln.com, or visit us at either of our three locations, 5110 State Hill Drive, 1117 L Street here in Lincoln, and our newest location, 408 Main Street, Seward, Nebraska.
There's a jalapeno heat wave rolling through Amigos, and honestly, we're here for it. The new crisp jalapeno popper burrito is stuffed with bold jalapeno cream cheese filling for a smooth, spicy heat in every crispy bite. And the new jalapeno popper Frenchies are a perfect fiery twist on the classic fave. This summer, the heat index is officially set by Amigos, and it's a jalapeno heat wave. Try the newest bold, fresh flavors at Amigos. Hey USA, it's your 250th birthday, and Amigos brings the party. The Yankee Burrito is back, and what's more American than a hot dog in a crispy tortilla? This summer, the All-American Twist is back too, for just $3.99. There's festive layers of red slushy, white soft serve, and blue slushy with whipped cream and a cherry on top. Celebrate freedom, flavor, and fun in every bite with a Yankee Burrito and All-American Twist, only at Amigos.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. It doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for more than 40 years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring, remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Here's your updated 93.7 The Ticket forecast, sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical. Slight chance of thunderstorms this afternoon, otherwise cloudy skies expected. High temperatures reach up to 86. Easterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies. Tonight, slight chance of thunderstorms, lows dip down to about 66. That's your updated forecast on Lincoln's home for the Kansas City Royals, 93.7 The Ticket. I'm meteorologist Kara Foster. Right now, it's 80 degrees.
At Schwezo Construction, safety isn't just a policy, it's a promise. Build with us. Work safe, go home proud. We're hiring skilled craftsmen, laborers, concrete workers, and steel erectors who value quality work and a team that has your back, on and off the job site. If you're ready to be part of a company where your safety and success come first, visit schwezo.com. That's SCHWISOW.com and apply today. Schwezo Construction, 40 years strong and still building the future.
Coming at you live from the heart of downtown Lincoln. This is Old School with Foreman and Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman is sponsored by Graham Tire Company of Lincoln, Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman,
Here's Troy Detmer dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped and picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score! Foreman got it, and it's touchdown Huskers.
Black shirts answer the call one more time. And Austin Orman. Hour 1 of Old School is sponsored by Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. Welcome in Monday edition of Old School, coming at you live from the Sid and Hazel Dillon Tennis Center. I don't know if we're technically on campus. I assume we would be. It's really close to campus, if nothing else, here, just near Innovation Campus, in sight of the Devaney Center, and plenty more. Austin Orman, Jay Foreman with you. Old School brought to you, as always, by the good folks at Graham Tire Company. They've got 4 locations here in Lincoln. They've been proudly serving the Midwest for more than 75 years. To my left, your right, if you're watching on stream, it is Husker Hall of Famer and NFL veteran Jay Foreman. Jay, a happy warm Monday to you. How are you?
Yeah, happy Monday to you too, man. It's was it Wimbledon just got over, and now we got our own Lincoln version of Wimbledon going on this hot Monday.
That we do. It is not quite the immaculate grass of Wimbledon, but everyone that's stopped by has said just how incredible these facilities are. I haven't been inside to check it out, but to see this many courts, to see the seating on both sides, the scoreboard, I mean, the first-class people as well. Even though I've never seen another college tennis facility, it doesn't take much for me to believe that this is top-notch.
Yeah, it'd be hard to beat. I mean, Nebraska has really good facilities, and I think they're giving a facelift to, all of them as they're trying to stay ahead of the curve on that. But this walking in and I can see over, it's pretty cool, man. It's top-notch, and, the players are obviously battling the heat, and obviously on the concrete or whatever, it's a little bit hotter, but I think they're used to this, and that's what makes tennis such a great sport.
Yeah, it's not a sport that I've ever gotten very deep into, but walking around, seeing everyone competing, the side-to-side movement is incredible. The other thing that you don't get quite as much on TV is the way the ball moves.
Yeah.
Like, that they have the topspin, they have the backspin, they have the slice and all that. But to see it up close and personal, really, for me, for the first time, it's incredible. The rotation, it looks like these guys are hitting breaking balls, like out of the pitcher's hand. I was really impressed with that.
Yeah,
walk through.
There's obviously an art to obviously playing tennis and obviously being able to put different take spin off if you're receiving a serve or volley or whatever with a certain type of spin. And obviously there's a strategy to it as well. When to press, maybe when to give up a game versus, get the set and all that stuff. And so, I never really played tennis. I had a couple of friends that played, tennis and, obviously went to college and played and have a really close friend that plays down at TCU. But I enjoyed watching tennis. I never missed a major. Obviously, growing up and obviously watching it on whatever, ABC, NBC. And you see some great people. They're great athletes. And I think over the years, and obviously we're seeing it now, the size of the tennis players, right? They're, it used to be, they were kind of like small and skinny guys. And I mean, they're big physical guys and they come in all sizes and shapes. And then, however good you are, generally, what you put into it, that makes, for a great sport. And obviously it's going to be a great tournament here for, not only the challenger, but obviously the city of Lincoln as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you talk about the evolution of that game. Obviously, there have been, athletic specimens in the men's and women's game, going back a long ways. But even just on the men's side, the difference between Roger Federer and, Rafael Nadal into Djokovic, into Sinner and Alcaraz, who are doing a lot of great work in the game today, those guys played against each other. Yeah. Those guys competed against each other. And so to see just the evolution of the game from that standpoint and essentially, one generation of tennis.
Yeah. And not only that, you got, Nebraska's own Andy Roddick, even though he probably didn't claim Nebraska because he probably went down to IMG or something like that. And then you had Pete Sampras, who was obviously a big physical guy like that. Andre Agassi, who was a little bit smaller. Dating myself, you had Michael Chang and Jim Courier. They're all built different. They're able to play the game of tennis to whatever, obviously, to their strengths are. And let alone we're not, we haven't even touched the women's side. And obviously with Serena and then Martina and all those, Jennifer Capriati was the first kind of like teenage young lady to, hit the world stage, and obviously Chris Evert. So, tennis is a gre's sport. They have rock star status though. I'm going to tell you this, it's it's funny. And obviously, seeing it here, when I lived in Charlotte's a, pretty good, sports town, obviously, but they, some of the older guys that were retired, they're like a tour where they go around. Now they don't play the 5 sets that they play in the majors, but they'll play 3 sets, and it's kind of, for the fans and stuff, but it gets competitive. I mean, those places and those venues were sold out, and they're still great players. And so, we got some players that have played in some majors in place, and so here at the Challenger, and so that lets you know not only what the city of Lincoln's able to do as far as putting on a event like this, but more importantly, how much the Challenger has grown.
Who's your tennis GOAT? Who's the greatest?
I'm Roger Federer.
You're Roger Federer
on
again?
the men's side, yeah, Roger Federer, and Serena on the women's. I like Roger Federer. I like the way he went about his business, smooth, calculated. He's kind of, if you kind of read up on him, he started and he wasn't able to early in his career, wasn't reaching his potential, so he was having, like John McEnroe outbursts, but then he found a way, and he's very competitive. And I think, when he kind of went on a hiatus for a couple of years, battling some injuries, came back and obviously won Wimbledon. Real classy dude too. Good representation of tennis. And, he was always fun to watch.
It might be recency bias. I got to go Djokovic though.
Yeah, he's my second. I just like him because of his attitude.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, just comparing the number. I mean, Federer 20 Grand Slams, Djokovic got 24. Federer didn't really dominate one Open like Djokovic or Nadal. I mean, you think Nadal, you think French Open, you think Roland Garros, you think the clay. Djokovic, I didn't realize this. Almost half his titles were down in Australia. The Australian Open with 10 of them. Federer only got 1 French Open, which makes sense given all the overlap with Nadal in there. But 6 times Federer won the Aussie Open, 8 times at Wimbledon, 5 U.S. Open titles as well. 103 career titles for Federer, 101 for Djokovic. How about this, though? 428 weeks at world number 1 for Novak Djokovic, 310 for Federer, 209 for Rafa. And there was a time I think I wanted Nadal to pass Federer, kind of the Tiger Phil thing, right? Is he ever going to get over the hump? And sure, maybe he has more career titles. I hate to call him a clay merchant, make your living where you make your living. But the consistency, the all-around dominance for Federer, like you said, the time off to come back and win one at the end. I think I would go Djokovic, Federer, and then just a slight step down. Got to put Rafa, I think, third, at least for the modern guys.
And they're recent, 15, 20 years. I mean, you can't go wrong with it, any of them. I think Roger Federer, was able to, ward off the young lion and Nadal, and obviously battled with Djokovic, the Joker as well. So I like him because his style traveled. Now, obviously, wasn't able to win many French, but I think that style. The great thing about tennis, there's guys that won't do well on 2 surfaces, and that they'll do well on another, and that's what makes tennis such a great sport. Obviously Nadal did a really good. He's awesome on clay. He's hard to beat. He's at battles with both the Joker and obviously Federer, and he's obviously was the odds-on favorite. Now you get to Wimbledon, that's kind of like where Nadal took it like another big step in his career. He was able to get over the hump, but I think the benchmark was always Federer, and then obviously I think the Joker dominated for I would say a shorter period of time, but it was like pure domination. It was like
he kicked those 2 off the throne.
It was like rinsing when Federer was like obviously still competing at an older age, which he wasn't. He was definitely number 3 at that time. So and then now the Joker was just coming up. He Federer was done, but then he steamrolled Nadal, and he steamrolled anybody and everybody he was the can man. I mean, it didn't matter what service it was. You just wait till Sunday, he'd be the champ. And so we'll see who's next. I mean, Sinner, I think, is what back-to-back Wimbledons.
I think so.
So, obviously tennis is always better when they have, American that's able to kind of bring it back across the sea and obviously be very, very competitive. Didn't happen this year, and we'll see. So now they got to really, get ready for, the next few majors to go after that. And so, I think tennis is one of those sneaky, good sports that you see, and it's a short run, right? It's like, remember Murray from England?
Yeah.
He finally won his, and then he was in the mix. Then he was injured. Then he had that nice little run. Then he's done. I talk about Michael Chang from way back in the day. For it was about like 2 or 3 years he was there. Same with, Jim Curry was a little bit longer. But then you go all the way back to like Jimmy Connors and McEnroe, the battles that they had obviously out in New York, which, that's where the star power was, or McEnroe over there in Wimbledon, or, obviously getting after some of the refs. But
some of them, how about all of them?
but then now look at him now though. He's a rock star, right? And he's at the New York Knicks games. He's courtside. And so that's tennis is a sport that anybody can play. You do have to be somewhat athletic, right? Obviously, but you don't have to be overly athletic to be good. You got to be extremely smart and great condition. And obviously you got to have some sort of skill that obviously can be appealing to, these like prep schools or whatever to help fast track into either college or obviously the pros.
24-27, once an Andre Agassi reminder. Yep, we mentioned him. Don't worry, we did not skip over him. Drumstick and Eric in on the text line early on as well.
Yeah, I mean, Andre Agassi was like the heartthrob. He was kind of like the Bon Jovi, I guess, with the hair, right? Remember, he kind of wore, the shorts were a little short, like obviously, but then he had kind of like the cutoff sleeves. I mean, he was the fashion kind of guy, and he wore the kind of like the pink and bright orange and the neon colors. And he was a great player. Then he married Steffi Graf, who probably was the female, in my opinion, the female's version of Joker then. Martina was kind of aging out. Chris Evert was and then Steffi Graf was, until, she got her, was dominating like a machine. And then obviously, those two together, and so, I mean, there's great players, and tennis is kind of like one of those sports. Obviously, it's, known as like a wealthy sport, obviously.
It's a club sport.
It's a club sport. It's a wealthy whatever. But I think now you're starting to see different people play. And that's the great thing about tennis. I think it's one of those sports that doesn't matter where you're from or kind of what your background are. And obviously, I think, with the Williams sisters, I've opened the doors for a lot of people.
Yeah, well, we talked with Jackson and Anton before. Jackson from up at Omaha Burke. He said Dad was a baseball guy. He was a baseball guy. Then he was walking around Creighton's campus and saw these guys hitting a tennis ball. Like, hey, I'll pick that up. Self-made. Read the books, did it himself. Anton said, no, it wasn't an academy kid, right? It was just me, my parents, my coaches, and we made it work. So to see that access expand, that's what I think is probably the most exciting thing about this event here, right? Because tennis has that reputation. I would say probably the same thing for golf in a lot of ways. But to have an event like this in Lincoln, to have it be really affordable and easily available to the public at a facility like this, I would say to Jay's point, we've heard both guys sit down with us and say tennis is a lifelong sport. As soon as you pick it up, you don't necessarily have to put it down. And so start young, come watch some incredible tennis. And the other part I like about this too, Jay, is that this isn't the people that have made it. Yeah, they're on tour. Yeah. They're tour professionals, but they still know there's another gear they can reach that they're striving for. And I think you see it as they walk by before the match, the determination, the focus they have. You hear it on the court, their self-dialogue on either side of the net, just the way that they're competing point after point. There's a lot of good stuff for young prospective athletes to take away from an event like this right here in the heart of Lincoln.
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, these are professionals now. And then, obviously, if I was a high school player or even in college, like local, whether it's Westland, obviously University of Nebraska, or anybody within driving distance, if you want your first glimpse, if you have aspirations to go to the pros or go through the grind of, going to the pros, it's no different than if you're down in Vegas and watching the NBA or like rookie, obviously, the NBA Summer League. Mm-hmm. You want to see it because, look, there will be somebody from here that ends up making it. No doubt about it.
Well, there's a guy, the guy that won it last year, Rafa Hodar. Yeah. He's just at Wimbledon.
Yeah, just at Wimbledon. But I'm saying somebody will make it big time.
Yo, for
somebody
sure.
here this will be their launching pad. Mm-hmm. And if, for me, I was blessed enough to be at training camps and stuff, but seeing it, being involved in it, and kind of like having a tangible, like, I guess, goal or seeing people actually do it is obviously, I think, is huge for some of these, young men and obviously eventually young women that are aspiring to become professionals. I think it's great. And the facility is great. It's a tournament that's growing, I think, by leaps and bounds, and it's going to continue to get bigger. And I think it's in a, obviously great facility here in Lincoln, but the city of Lincoln is really, really welcoming as well. And these players, look, if you weren't invested as a player, you wouldn't be out here. And essentially, I imagine it's about 100 degrees on that court, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and guys are, getting ready to go and trying to win it.
LincolnChallenger.com is the way that you can get tickets. LincolnChallenger.com. Once again, this is Old School. Big thanks to Heartland of Nebraska Windows for their sponsorship of Hour 1 of the show. You can check them out online, heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Jay, let's get to this from the Major League Baseball draft, the most unique draft in all of professional sports, with signing bonuses and the ability to return to school or, forego your draft pick. Nebraska has 2 players drafted. Carson Yasa goes, but Ty Horn goes first, 94th to the Reds, Carson Yasa 98th to the Cubs, and then a future Husker, the transfer from Illinois that Nebraska is banking on. That's a guy by the name of Zach Bates, a lefty reliever, got the Mr. Irrelevant treatment. Final pick of the draft by the Los Angeles Dodgers of all teams. One guy that didn't get drafted, though, everything shortstop Dylan Carey, who was really disappointed with the draft feedback he got last year, came back, added to his game, had double-digit home runs and doubles this year, won the Shortstop of the Year award, the Birch Wallace Award, and yet still went undrafted. That's a guy that pointed back all year to the MLB draft snub that he felt like and the feedback he got. A heartbreaking moment for him, but what would you tell Dylan Carey back home at Colorado, having been passed over, not just in last year's draft, but now 613 times in this year's draft?
Yeah, I mean, that fuel is there. You're a great player. You know it. He deep down knows he should have been drafted. I don't know the reason why. You probably maybe never know. So it is what it is. You got to have a good agent. You got to get in there and grind it out. And if you ever need the motivation to become more disciplined, this is it. And then also find out some feedback. What is it that you need to do? Because look, you're not going to get any bigger, right? You can always get stronger. If they say you need to hit for average more or more home runs, you can kind of fix that. But ultimately, with the type of player that he is, and obviously shown on a national level this year in college, he can play. And so you got to go out there and just continue, showing people what you already know. And sure, it sucks being in that position because you deserve to be drafted. There is a validation of being drafted. I know for me, I went later than I'd wished. That obviously I think I outplayed my draft status, but ultimately I was fortunate enough to get drafted. He's not. There's been plenty of players that went undrafted and end up being great players in the MLB. Might take a little bit longer, but the right time will be the time that it's supposed to be as long as you put in the work. It's
hard to be, it's getting easier to be undrafted in Major League Baseball. That's a draft that used to go 50 rounds, and then they just slowly been contracting that all the way down to 20 rounds. But just off of pure production, it's wild that Dylan Carey didn't go. This isn't a guy that came out of nowhere either. He was a former top prospect in the state of Colorado, so he's been on these teams' radars for a while. Friend of the program, Evan Bland, did a lot of good work covering this for the Omaha World Herald over the weekend, and the paragraph from Evan is this: exactly what prevented the longtime Husker from seeing his name pop Sunday is unknown, according to multiple sources. One said that his various hitting metrics didn't play well in models and offset some or all of his in-game production this spring, which tells me teams maybe aren't buying the power as much with a wood bat, potentially.
Sure.
I still think there are some concerns about Dylan Carey's approach at the plate. That's a guy that never really grew into a whole bunch of plate discipline, got better as he went through his career in college, but there's always been the risk of the strikeout with him, which sounds funny to say in modern baseball,
right? But
this is a guy that made a living off of hammering fastballs, and that's not necessarily what you're going to see a lot at the Major League Baseball level. So I can understand having some questions about Dylan Carey's game, but for him to be as productive as he was and go undrafted, that to me seems like a bunch of teams overthinking it.
And it's easy to overlook a program or a player from a program that's not been notoriously dominant, right? You can always kind of, all right, I'll pick a kid from Auburn or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, but that feedback right there is good. Look, they think it's a fluke. You've showed them twice, but they continue to do so. Yeah. I've been in that position as well. So you're just going to keep showing people what you already know as far as the power. And sure, and the thing is, you got to be realistic. Everybody that's drafted has weaknesses, right? And so, right there, if that's your two weaknesses and plate discipline, you definitely can control that, right? I mean, I think that's just comes down to discipline, right? Your approach to the plate.
Yeah.
And you find somebody that can help you with it, right? And so you gotta systematically over time get better at that. And then as far as your power with the wood bat, I mean, I think that's a big transition for any college kid going to hit with the wood bat. And so, you got to continue to get bigger, you got to get faster, you got to get stronger. And then so therefore the metrics of what you can't do from power with the wood bat will be nullified. Now, this analytics stuff and all that. It's an analytic league. I don't really like it because he passes the eye test. He got snubbed. What's funny to me is if I was a scout or a GM or whatever, or GMs, and, this kid got, a bad grade coming back. He needed to get better at A and B. He does it. That would make me actually overdraft you, because I know that you can take constructive criticism, go back in the lab, get better, produce on a viable team. You didn't do this on, I don't even know if they're good, but I always like to make fun of the name Kennesaw State, right? You know what I'm saying? Granted, but Big Ten is not an overall baseball conference, but you played well.
And you played well against good competition. You didn't just play scrubs.
Right. That's what I was just about to say. So, it sucks for him. The last couple of days are going to be hard, or next couple of days will be hard. But then you got to get back at it, man, because somebody's going to give you a call, give you a chance, and then you got to come in there and just definitely knock it out the park.
And it's not like the NBA or the NFL where you can probably have a list of all the shortstops drafted in front of you, given there were 613 picks in the draft. That'll be hard to sort through. But best of luck to Dylan Carey as he finds a professional landing spot of some sort. The flip side of that, Jay, would be on the pitching side with both Ty Horn and Carson Yasa getting drafted. Horn, the 12th player, Yasa, the 13th player drafted just since Will Bolt got here. And how about this? The 9th and 10th pitchers drafted. It's a group that, and Yasa certainly has been one of the biggest risers we've seen in his Nebraska time. Evan had a really good article we'll talk to him about on Wednesday, provided we're not back out here. But to see the growth of Yasa, to see Ty Horn fight through his struggles. Nebraska's put a bunch of good pitchers out there, guys in contender for Big Ten Pitcher of the Year, like Brett Sears was just a couple of years ago. But I think, that's a real, badge of honor, I think, for Nebraska, for Rob Childress, that MLB teams trust Nebraska, its pitching development plan enough to continue to draft these guys. And the Braves especially have done that. They've moved guys up. Spencer Schwellenbach moved quickly. Brett Sears has already jumped up a couple levels. And Drew Christo already got bumped up earlier in the spring as well. Teams in the pro level seem to trust what Nebraska's doing on the pitching side.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you have a coach like Coach Childress and obviously Bolt, you have a long history of putting guys into the MLB, or at least obviously getting drafted, and then more importantly, pretty consistent. And that means they're developing certain traits that are obviously applicable to baseball at the professional level. So, look, it's a tip of hat to them, but then also the players put in the work. I think Ty Hahn, I think that obviously through
Horn was the football game.
Horn, yeah, I think with the way he pitched, obviously in big moments where you kind of was like, I wouldn't say he exceeded expectation, but there was a couple of times I felt like he rose, to the occasion. That bodes well. They want to see, because and also you got to think a lot of these guys, if they go to the majors, they're going to be probably middle relief, starting out, or if they can work their way into it. So, they're trying to project that as well. The analytics of, where you're at. If you're really good for 5 innings in college, well, you probably could be great for 2 or 1 or 2 batters. So, congrats to them. Congrats to the Nebraska, baseball program. Now it's got to be, okay, this is the benchmark. Now we got to continue to improve and have more guys drafted, including pitchers, and then obviously people in the field.
We're out here at the Lincoln Challenger 2026 edition put on by the ATP. We'll have guests pop on throughout the course of the show. As always, you can join the show via our Sartor Heyman Jewelers text line 402-464-5685. When we return to Old School, Ward Manuel might be on the outs at Michigan. What's gone into that? Why is Michigan undergoing an internal investigation? And is it nearing some sort of resolution? He's Jay Foreman. I'm Austin Orman. Some big potential college football news next on Old School.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
New from Arbor Axe House comes Benny's Battle Barge, the mobile axe throwing adventure. Perfect for festivals, parties, fundraisers, and celebrations. Charter the barge at arbораxe.com or call Arbor Axe House at 402-802-9696. Arbor Axe House at the corner of N Street and Antelope Valley.
There's a jalapeno heat wave rolling through Amigos, and honestly, we're here for it. The new crisp jalapeno popper burrito is stuffed with bold jalapeno cream cheese filling for a smooth, spicy heat in every crispy bite. And the new jalapeno popper Frenchies are a perfect fiery twist on the classic fave. This summer, the heat index is officially set by Amigos, and it's a jalapeno heat wave. Try the newest bold, fresh flavors at Amigos. Hey USA, it's your 250th birthday, and Amigos brings the party. The Yankee Burrito is back, and what's more American than a hot dog? In a crispy tortilla. This summer, the All-American Twist is back too, for just $3.99. There's festive layers of red slushy, white soft serve, and blue slushy, with whipped cream and a cherry on top. Celebrate freedom, flavor, and fun in every bite, with a Yankee Burrito and All-American Twist, only at Amigos.
Lincoln is full of great golf courses in a state that is getting national recognition for exceptional golf. Friend Country Club is worth the drive, just 40 minutes from Lincoln and home to one of the state's most respected 9-hole courses. Enjoy their restaurant with popular items like a 14-ounce ribeye, 10-ounce sirloin, or chicken fried steak. Open Thursday through Saturday from 5:30 to 10 p.m. Expand your horizons with a trip to Friend Country Club, just 40 minutes southeast of Lincoln. It's worth a visit.
Where there's smoke, there's flavor, and there's plenty of that at the Smokehouse at Super Saver in Russ's Market. Award-winning Old World recipes made in Lincoln since 1984 with many flavors and smoked sausage and brats to choose from. The Smokehouse has something special for every season: brats and sausage for the grill, beef sticks and beef jerky for snacking, and smoked salmon, smoked turkey, and smoked hams for your holiday feast. Stop by the Smokehouse at Super Saver in Russ's Market today to fulfill your search for real flavor.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves. We would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate again. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios at 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Your sprinklers are watering the street or flooding your backyard. If you're on a list that doesn't exist, it's time for Judson Irrigation. At Judson Irrigation, Lee or Lacey or Judson will make an appointment. You pick the time and they'll be there to fix your sprinkler system. Now that's service, a dying art these days.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
When something breaks, you want someone you can trust to fix it right. Empire Repair is now open in Waverly and ready to serve our community with reliable auto repair and maintenance. From routine service to bigger repairs, our team is here to keep you on the road. Stop by Empire Repair in Waverly or call 402-786-2224 to schedule your service today. Empire Repair, proud to serve Waverly.
There once was a man from Nebraska who went searching for food in Alaska. When his stomach was rumbling while laying in bed, he could think of only one option: Führer's cheese spread. So he left at once and drove day and night to return back home for cheese spread delight. Now his stomach is full and the voice in his head tells him no more vacations without Führer's cheese spread. Find yours today at most local grocers.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in. It is indeed Old School. Austin Orman, Jay Foreman with you. Breaking just over our break, Evan Bland, friend of the program, former Nebraska baseball shortstop Dylan Carey, signing with the New York Mets as an undrafted free agent. Get that Steve Cohen money. Good on you, Dylan Carey. Switching gears here, Jay, we will stick in the Big Ten, though. Apparently this has been going on behind the scenes for quite some time, but just came out over the weekend. Michigan has been undergoing an internal investigation focusing on athletic director Ward Manuel, guy they hired away from UConn, and Jay, a guy that's been front and center of a lot of this turmoil, shall we call it, at Michigan between the Connor Stallions and Jim Harbaugh era, Juwan Howard, the end of that era, everything going on down there, and then obviously now with the Sharon Moore hiring and Kyle Whittingham firing and Kyle Whittingham hiring and everything that's gone on there, Dusty May leaving. Ward Manuel's certainly been front and center. Apparently, with an investigation going on for at least some length of time.
Yeah.
Into his conduct or how things were being run in that athletic department.
Yeah, I think. Well, he was hired a PA or PI for Sharon Moore. They said, okay, don't worry about that. We'll just keep the same fee, and you just could check this man out too. So I think he's obviously teeter-tottered in that gray area of shady. Some of it, majority of it, I think, is his own doing. Some of it is not so much. I think he's missed the mark on some of his decisions and things that he let slide, especially when Harbaugh was there. Obviously for the obviously the end goal of winning a national championship, and it's all great. Remember, we've talked about this on Old School. Mm-hmm. Everybody involved, everybody at that university was involved then, including him, presidents, players, coaches, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's great when you're celebrating, but that's only for like 24, 48 hours. When things get a little hairy, right, they start pointing the finger. And now Ward Manuel's understanding everybody that he was probably having some very expensive wine, together, making these decisions. This is how far we're going to go with it. And probably these cigar bars or deep, dark corners are nowhere to be found. And they don't have any recollection. And so, most likely they're probably trying to work out, because Michigan does do a good job of protecting their own. I'm pretty sure they're trying to work out a way to have a buyout or resign fee or something like that. Or actually Michigan is probably trying to fire him with cause or something like that. So it's just a matter of time. When they start saying this, it's just a matter of time. Maybe they're trying to start over. I'm sure it probably would make Whittingham to feel a little bit more comfortable with the guy that he knows that potentially is probably going to be there for a while. Because I'm sure when you come in as a coach, obviously he kind of got forced out at Utah. He wants to coach, got a great contract there at a blue blood school at Michigan. His agent and him being around, they watch everything. They're not oblivious. This guy, he probably might only be there for a year or two. So, he wants to be a part of the decision or be abreast of the decision when things are made. And so you want your football coach to feel comfortable who he's going to be working for. And obviously they're trying to find a way to get rid of our boy Manuel. And unfortunately for him, it's just a matter of time.
What does it say about Michigan that despite this investigation, Ward Manuel has been authorized to make all these big moves, including the Boynton promotion, likely the Whittingham hiring after everything that went down with Sharon Moore? Yeah. Is that Michigan trying to play it as business as usual, until the investigation's over? Or is this just saying, hey, he's still the athletic director, so until we actually fire him, he still has some of this authority? What's the purpose of Michigan?
It's a little bit of both. Surprise, we forgot to tell you, we've been thinking about firing you, but also we haven't decided whether we're going to fire you or not. So that since we're paying you, it's like a football coach, right? Or GM.
Sure.
You don't fire somebody, right before the combine if you didn't think about firing them during the season, but you let him pick guys in free agency the year before, so forth and so on. So it's a little bit of both. But I think for him, he probably got comfortable, felt like maybe he did, handled his business the right way, and you just never know. Like, even though he's the athletic director, sometimes your hands are tied, and so. I'm sure he feels that, a little caught off guard in the sense of that he felt like everything was good. Obviously when you go from Sharon Moore to Whittingham, you think everything's smoothed over. Now the Dusty May thing is probably more along the lines of Dusty May's conduct last year that you were okay with. So then that points back to you, but more importantly, Dusty May left. Now people are mad after the national championship. You promote the assistant, and you only give him a 2-year contract. It's just like a lot of things that are piling up that are very small things, but they're going to be exposed as really, really big and monumental things.
Well, we think about, these big one-off explosive events that are obviously bad. How could that ever happen under your watch? Obviously bad. Maybe easier to make a clean break after those, but the fact that Ward Manuel was able to last as long as he did at Michigan, not that
well, he
wasn't really on him.
He lasted at with the Stallions thing, Jim Harbaugh, the multiple assistants with football, and he kind of smoothed it over and stayed. Mm-hmm. But also, you got to think though, a big thing is the plan obviously with the PI for Sharon Moore was like, oh, we got him. Well, up jumped the cat. It wasn't what you thought it was. Mm-hmm. Now it points back to Michigan that you were playing dirty ball against a coach that had some issues, and you didn't support the coach. So now you embarrassed the program, right? And Ward Manuel was a part of that. So, look, it's tough for him probably to see his name on, all across that he's probably eventually going to get fired or they want to fire him. But ultimately, I think when you're at a school like Michigan and things like this happen, whether you're directly or indirectly involved, you're always directly held accountable for it. And I always say this, that, if I'm a football coach and I'm the head football coach and I hire you as an assistant and I'm not expecting, I didn't hire you, to think like on a Sunday when I'm having like, some steak and potatoes and some sweet corn that you're going to go do something that's not only going to jeopardize your job, but my job or make me make a decision. And if I try to do what's right for you and obviously the program in my mind, then ultimately 2 or 3 years later, I'm going to be held accountable and you're long gone. So, being in that position, you hold people accountable all the time as athletic director to the standard of what Michigan's supposed to be, doing as on and off the field, on and off the court. And now you have the Board of Regents or whatever they have are, coming after him. So the more important thing is what happens and when it happens, right? Because football camp is going to open up in less than 3 weeks for majority of teams across the United States. When does that happen? How fast do they get a replacement? And how does that trickle down effect to the practice field with a new coach?
Yeah.
Who is trying to –
well, in both your flagship programs.
Right, but more importantly, football, because it's football season.
Yeah.
So you got to think, though, it's a new coach, a new era, a new Big Ten, and, a little bit of a gamble with Whittingham because he never played – all he knows is Utah. And so now his AD's gone, and now you have a new AD. So you know how that goes. The relationship isn't going to be tested or put together for about a year or two.
Do you think that's what Jamie Pollard was looking at when he retired from Iowa State, saw this Michigan stuff coming down the pipe?
He's aware of it. I think with him, he felt like I think when Campbell left, that really hurt him.
Yeah,
it did. I think it really hurt him. Now he knew it was kind of like one of those things. He knew it, but it really hurt him. And then obviously with the lack of funding, the timing of when Campbell left, and all that. So he's aware of everything. And I think he had tremendous amount of job security. He didn't have any like bad, check marks around his name.
Well, no, and that's a guy too that turned down a lot of bigger jobs.
Yeah, bigger jobs, stayed down, and he wasn't able to get the financial support. And then you start to look at things different. I think he probably has some things, cooking in the background as far as being able to be in advisory roles and committees and all that stuff. So he's still active and having an influence in college football. He just thinks and probably thought he had hit his ceiling at Iowa State, and the guy that he hit the ceiling with is now at Penn State. And so he's like, I don't want to, kind of build over again. I could tell you an example for myself is like, I started coaching, the majority of my kids in like 3rd grade. And so that's all the way through 12th grade. I don't want to go and start over again at 3rd grade because I know I've seen all the things and it took a lot of time and effort and a lot of teamwork, from your support from your family and friends and everybody else. And so sometimes you want to move on and do something else. And so that's what, he's able to do. But Ward Manuel right now is a little bit of a pickle.
Tom Mars, big old sports lawyer, has a couple interesting tweets in there. He says, whenever a corporate or university board retains a major law firm to conduct an investigation into an embarrassing scandal, even for far less than the $11 million that Michigan spent, there's a tacit understanding between the board and the law firm that their report will provide a basis to fire or force the retirement of at least a couple of scapegoats, and that current board members will not be the subject of any criticism. So it seems like this is something the board has been mulling for a while.
Oh,
hey,
yeah. Somebody's got to
go.
go.
You help us get out of it. But to that point then, Jay, Mars's other tweet, an $11 million bill, essentially, to Jenner and Block. Mars says, okay, let's assume an average rate of like $1,200 an hour, which would be 9,166 billable hours of legal work, which is 76.3 weeks. Well, Michigan only hired this law firm 30 weeks ago.
Yeah.
How are they doing 2.5 times the work in 20% of the time? Or, 2/5 of the time.
Do you wonder, have you been getting a kickback? Right? Have you been playing, dirty business and getting a kickback? Or more importantly, were you looking over the checks and balances? You hired him, you were a part of it, you wanted it, you thought this is your plan. Third of all, we spent that type of money. Now we're still on the hook, and now we're facing another lawsuit from the young lady. And in the public opinion, we look like idiots because when they got in front of the judge, essentially the case was dismissed. And you and whoever else, as far as in the leadership position, interviewed both of them, and let him walk out the door. So it's both ways. You know, he's a scapegoat because somebody's got to go, right? Based on the price tag and the blow. It's more the blowback. If the blowback was worth the price tag, he might be good. It's not worth it now.
Oh, that's just so interesting, though, in light of everything with Harbaugh, right, who took the off-ramp, right? And Juwan Howard at least struggled, right, his final year. And then you had the incident with the Wisconsin assistant coach. You know, was the blowback enough to force them out? But why did it take another?
Jim Harbaugh won a national championship.
Yeah, but I mean, there are people in one corner of Michigan that appreciate that. I know Michigan's got a lot. I know Michigan's got a lot of alums, but
they all,
it felt like it was Michigan against everybody, and for good reason because of how they acted. There was plenty of blowback to that national championship.
Right, but they lied to themselves, and they will tell you that they didn't do anything wrong. So they all were in it, fans included. So that's why Harbaugh was late. They were okay with it. They knew he was eventually going to go. But you got to remember, he talked himself out of the Vikings job.
Oh yeah, he did.
He talked himself out of that job. I know for a fact he did. That plane was not supposed to go back. So they were already prepared for him. Now, Juwan Howard, I think it was great when he was winning. And obviously, you know, being a former player and who Juwan is, and obviously what Michigan thinks their basketball program is that they should win a national championship every year. I don't think Michigan's that type of program. And obviously they were able to win it this year. But look at the things that they had to do to win it. It's like the football program. You got to, you know, sell your soul for it. And now you're going to see what happens afterwards. So they were able to kind of go in like the dark corners of the night and be like, oh, he's gone, like an Irish goodbye. Whereas like Ward Manuel is just center stage in front and a part of a lot of things. And then obviously when you spend that type of money, right, you got to think the team wasn't very good. Okay, you spent a whole bunch of money. You thought it was all going to fall on Sharon Moore and he was going to be the scapegoat. He is not the scapegoat. He's actually the opposite, where people were starting to feel sorry for him that he was set up by his own boss and own university, and it wasn't even fully true. So then now we paid $11 million, so it's embarrassment. It's no different than Woody Johnson when they went over and played England. He fired Robert Saleh because his buddies were there, and he was embarrassed because he looked bad in front of his buddies. This is an ego trip. Now there is
Michigan sports,
right?
Yeah.
Now there's facts there, but listen, this isn't the first time something kind of slimy came across the board's desk, right? And say, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
This one, they got embarrassed, and it keeps getting worse every single time because now that you have the young lady, she's going back against them now. So the ally is turning on them. So somebody's got to go.
Looking like that'll be Ward Manuel. Still awaiting final resolution on that. We will keep you updated on it. We will be back to wrap up hour one of Old School. Full 2 hours yet to come after this out here at the ATP Lincoln Challenger 2026. Again, for your tickets, you can go to lincolnchallenger.com. This is Old School, brought to you by Graham Tire. We're wrapping up hour one momentarily.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for more than 40 years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring, remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
There once was a man from Nebraska who went searching for food in Alaska. When his stomach was rumbling while laying in bed, he could think of only one option, Führer's cheese spread. So he left it once and drove day and night to return back home for cheese spread delight. Now his stomach is full and the voice in his head tells him no more vacations without Führer's cheese spread. Find yours today at most local grocers. At DWE Generations, having a plan matters, especially when it comes to protecting what's most important. They work with individuals, families, and business owners to help make smart financial decisions that support life today and set the foundation for generations. David Darlington, Russell Walton, and Cody Eiler bring decades of experience, and their dedicated team provides follow-through, answering questions, explaining next steps, and staying connected as life evolves. DWE Generations, a generational wealth planning firm. DWE Generations is a marketing name for individuals doing business as representatives of Northwestern Mutual. Visit generations.nm.com or call 402-483-7871 and ask for David, Russell, or Cody.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Here's your updated 93.7 The Ticket forecast, sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical. Slight chance of thunderstorms this afternoon, otherwise cloudy skies expected. High temperatures reach up to 86. Easterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies. Tonight, slight chance of thunderstorms, lows dip down to about 66. That's your updated forecast on Lincoln's home for the Kansas City Royals. 93.7 The Ticket. I'm meteorologist Kara Foster. Right now, it's 80 degrees.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program by building a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today. Ever look at your house and think, ouch, it's stuck in the past? Or realize that your kitchen needs a new everything? Like thousands of homeowners, you can simply call SprayNet Lincoln. Their patented spray system and paint delivers a flawless factory finish, no mess, done in a day, and cost-effective. It looks just like new, including your vinyl. And it's all backed by their 15-year no-peel warranty. SprayNet Lincoln, custom chemistry and smarter painting. Google SprayNet Lincoln or call them now at 402-383-3336 or email ching@spray-net.com.
Green's Furnace and Plumbing has been servicing the southeast Nebraska area since 1921, specializing in HVAC systems, bathroom remodels, duct cleaning, backflow testing, and so much more. With a network of trained technicians ready to assist you, Green's Furnace and Plumbing is your source for dedicated commercial HVAC services for your business, building, or even your home so it can run without unwanted interruption. Learn more by visiting their website at callgreens.com or give them a call at 402-467-4444 today.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue.
The best barbecue deal in town is at Hog Wild. We're serving up a $5.99 meal deal that includes a one-meat sandwich, your favorite classic side and a drink, all for just $5.99. Craving brisket? Upgrade to our tender, slow-smoked beef brisket for only $1.50 more. Join us for lunch or dinner or order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway, Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Imagine if the people who work at your bank or neighbors who could help with a home loan.
Congratulations, you're approved.
Or friends who love to shop local.
Have a good one.
At UBT, who you work with matters just as much as what you're working toward.
Hey, thanks for helping.
That's why your money has more than a banker. It has people. Union Bank and Trust. Equal housing lender. Member FDIC.
Back to old school with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back in, it is Old School. Austin Orman and Jay Foreman, joined by another fantastic guest down here from the ATP Lincoln Challenger 2026. We got Alex. He's the voice. Alex, welcome to 93.7 Ticket. How's it going?
It is great to be here. Appreciate you guys being on site for this event. Great to be back in Lincoln here for year 3 of this event. And yeah, appreciate you guys having me. Excited to talk some tennis.
First and foremost, what's your relationship to the game of tennis? How long have you been a tennis guy? How'd you get into being the voice of the Challenger here in Lincoln?
Well, I'm a big believer in monogamy. Can only be married to one thing. I'm married to the game, and that game happens to be the game of tennis. It's something that's been a part of my life forever. I always like to joke I was probably 20 pounds heavier than I was now at age 12, and then I spent the summer in this sort of heat playing tennis each and every day. I came back to high school. I'm not going to shout out the girl specifically, but she knows who she is. She was like, Alex, you look good. And I was like, ooh, I like this sport. I like the association with it. And it teaches you about commitment. It teaches you confidence, all the different things you need to succeed. A lot of skills translatable to other aspects of life. So from there, plus if you can get a full-time job covering a sport, you just say yes. Doesn't matter the sport.
Alex, we were talking before we got on air about the Challenger. Obviously, it's his third year here in Lincoln. Talk about the benefits of being here on this college campus in Lincoln. And then obviously, secondly, what is it like to see it from year one, obviously, to year 3 and how it's grown?
Yeah, so many different advantages for these players who go city to city, right? Traveling for the tour and trying to find any degree of comfort, any degree of routine. To have the resources offered to these players this week that are offered here on the campus, it's just, there's a reason, University of Nebraska is a Division I Power 4 program. Every resource, every stretching band, every exercise bike, heck, like down to the water and Gatorade, never running out. You just don't have to worry about any of those little details here in Lincoln. And accordingly, it leads to outstanding tennis from these players. It's why, to your point, to see this here in year 3, you think about the past champions. Year 1, a guy by the name of Jake Fernley, who's been a top 100 player ever since he came here. He wins the event. I think he went 26-4, and it was his breakout event. After that, last fall, of course, a guy by the name of Rafael Hodar, who had just finished his freshman season at Virginia. He wins this event in the fall. I believe he's now 24, 25 in the world. And so to see those sorts of players filter through, it has me thinking, well, who's that going to be this year? Who could be that next rising star? And certainly, I think you see so many different players coming here to Lincoln. It's the perfect kickoff for their North American summer. You go here. Up next, there's Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. You've got events in Lexington, Kentucky coming up. This is really where things get said. And again, it's a credit to Nebraska, who makes it just so comfortable for everyone who participates in this event.
Take us through being at these challenger-style events. Who are these players? What are they trying to accomplish here as part of the Challenger Tour?
They're the rising stars. And certainly the equation that's often been made is this is AAA baseball. I don't think that does this justice, because certainly you look at a guy by the name of Arthur Ferry, who some of your listeners may not know, or if you were watching Wimbledon last week, Arthur Ferry just made the semifinals of Wimbledon. Well, where was Arthur Ferry this time last year? He was here playing this event. He was trying to establish a higher pro ranking, because it is a ranking system, to get into the scale of events. This is the stepping stone. This is where, again, if you're a Rafa Hodar, a Jake Fernley, who knows you have the level, this is where you accumulate the talent. This is where you accumulate all of those calluses that have you prepared for the highest level of the sport. Again, you can't win Wimbledon without coming through a Lincoln Challenger type event first. And so this is the perfect stepping stone for any of those young players to find their sea legs.
Alex, I want to ask you about the game of tennis. Obviously, you played it yourself, and obviously you played at Michigan on the club team, but you obviously could have played for the program. And I grew up, I didn't play tennis. I'm a fan of tennis. I watched it, still do. One thing I'm amazed at is obviously, tennis, there's different body types, and obviously they're big, strong, athletic, obviously professional athletes. Talk about your experience, how the game of tennis has changed from a physical standpoint. I mean, you have, I always go back to Michael Chang and all those guys, and now you have Center, and he's huge, and all the, you got tall, you got medium, you got short. Talk about how the game of tennis, as long as you're invested in tennis, you can be successful. It's not that easy, but it's not like, when I played linebacker, you can't be 5'8", so in tennis, you're able to kind of find a way to make it happen.
Well, I assume you're asking me this because you see me and you just think specimen. So I appreciate the question, of course.
And the young lady in high school made you a specimen. We got to give her a shout out.
Exactly. So
that's going to be on her Instagram profile, right?
You know what? If you're listening, Alexandra, thank you for you and the confidence that you've built in me. But to your point, you think about the cardio of it all. I would put the legs of a tennis player, the lower half of a tennis player, against any other athlete in the world, because the strength you need, the fluidity you need to get in and out of those corners. And it is interesting because I was having this conversation with some players given the heat this week. The idea of being over 200 pounds and having to just sustain that much weight on court through 2.5 hours of play where you're sweating through everything. And just, again, you have to be consuming as you're playing as well. It is far more physical now. And you also think back to, say, 30 years ago when a guy like a Pete Sampras, was dominating at the top of the sport. Well, he was serving and volleying, meaning 1, 2, 3 shots per rally, quicker rallies. That's just not the case anymore. Now they're playing 15, 20 balls, and you just...
Why has that changed? What's led to that?
A couple of different reasons. The technology, of course. The strings are better. The rackets are better. You're able to just do things that those players in the 90s weren't. But then back to your point, it's about the athletes. We just have better athletes now. You watch Carlos Alcaraz. Tell me that guy couldn't pick up any sport and
Yeah.
find success within it. They've even do I want to watch Novak Djokovic race Lamar Jackson over a 40-yard dash? I'd like to see it. I think peak Djokovic could hold his own in that 40. We're talking low fours here. Again, if they need a receiver, some of these guys still have college eligibility. So just watch the
They got good hand-eye coordination, that's for sure.
Some of them can catch. Some of them, I won't lie, gets a little helpless when the racket's out of their hands. But it's just the increased physicality. And to be here in person, to see it up close, that's why an event like this is so great, because you can be intimate in a way you just can't at a larger scale event.
Obviously, we're pretty early on in the tournament here on day 2. What stood out to you in terms of the stuff on the court, some of the storylines early on in this one?
It's always tough early in the week because right now we're so qualifying centric, but this portion of the calendar is a massive time for players with college tennis ties, because college tennis is one of those few year-round sports. They're competing in the fall individually. They're competing in the spring as a team. These summer months are the only months they get the chance to go out and prove their worth professionally. And so I've mentioned some of the names in the past, the Fernleys, the Hodars. There's a kid, I believe he was on the show earlier, Sebastian Gorsny, came on your network. He just finished an All-American career at Texas. He's now beginning his pro career, gets a wild card into this event because of his college success. He's a guy I'd be watching. A Trevor Svida, who's in the main draw, is another guy of that caliber. And then certainly a guy walking in right now with, of course, the beautiful handlebar mustache, former top 40 player in the world, J.J. Wolf, to have him back at this level competing as he is. And so many others like him. Buyun Chowkete, the number 2 seed, he's coming back from injury. Wu Bing, who we saw qualify earlier, he's top 100 in the world, just forgot to sign up, as tennis players are known to do. So has to qualify into the main draw, he will be top 100 as soon as he's healthy. And just to have all of those guys here at the start of their summer, if you're Lincoln, you're going to get to watch the best in the world at a fraction of the price.
We got to get him an app so he can fill it out online. One question I wanted to ask you, before we let you go, is also, what's the biggest difference? You mentioned the college players, and this is a great time to kind of see where you're at, go back maybe to the lab and kind of get a little bit better. Or some guys really take off, right?
Yeah.
What's the biggest difference from college tennis to this, obviously, the Challenger Series? Because I know there's a jump. What are some of the things you've seen from players that are, hey, he was pretty good in college, and it takes a little while to kind of get your bearings, and then he takes off?
It's a silly analogy to make, but how much hair do you have on your chest? And I mean that sincerely in the sense of, are you man enough to go for it in the biggest moment? Because casually, any fan could walk up, see any player, and just assume this guy must be top 100 in the world, right? Well, sure, when he's walking and swinging comfortably, he looks that good. But when the pressure is highest, it's 5-4, 40-30, or it's 5-4, 30-40. Can you find that big first serve in the biggest moments? And experience plays such a big role in that, because through that experience, you're going to gain the trust in yourself. That's the biggest thing, I think, is the mental side, because all these guys are so physically gifted. But to your point, there's also a threshold of, do you hit hard enough? Do you serve hard enough? Are you aggressive in those first 4 shots of the rally where 70% of points are played? We can really get into the nitty gritty here, right? I appreciate the opportunity.
You're into the analytics, right?
100%. First 4 shots, can you hold serve over 80% of the time? If you can't, you're in trouble. It's the scale of the weaponry and the trust to use that weaponry in the biggest moment. That's what separates the men from the boys.
One more quick question. So since you mentioned power, right? How hard you can hit, and obviously how consistent and how dominant you can be early, right? So is accuracy, where does that go? Because obviously back when I was watching tennis, accuracy, being able to kind of get the corners and all that. Now, is it more of a power game? But then you have to have the stamina, right, to be able to serve and volley for, it seems like, 5 hours in the heat. You're going to be out there all night, right?
You nailed it in the perfect scale. There's a prerequisite power you have to have first. Then, to your point, comes the accuracy. Can you get that to the corner? Can you hit the ball +1 when it's on your right hip? Can you hit the backhand as well as you can the forehand? Do you have a discernible weakness? If you do, that's the kiss of death in this sport. But then, to your point, it's okay, you can do it once. Can you do it twice? Can you do it 20 times? Can you do it for 2.5 hours, as all of these athletes are forced to do? It really is an ascending scale. So first I found the power. Now I found the precision. now can my lungs work for 2.5 hours? And so it's a really wonderful sport, and to have the chance to see it up close in person, if you're in the Lincoln community, you can't pass it up.
And the question that Jay really wanted to ask is, how many slew-footed tennis players are there out there in the world? But that's another question that we need to do.
Not too many.
Do some more research
I
on.
ain't seen any, but man, once I get them 2 paddles going straight, I think I'm all right.
Indeed,
but I know what my weakness is. I don't have the backhand.
Okay.
I got everything else. I got power, but the backhand was. I'd be running all the way over trying to get to that power end. I'd be out of gas by the second set.
The other problem for you, Jay, is that the ball moves. They throw curveballs and change-ups. So
right.
it's not just fastballs. Alex, it's been great to talk with you. Thanks for dropping some knowledge. We'll see you around the Challenger.
I appreciate it. Hope everyone's nice to Ward Manuel today, my Michigan Wolverines. All you ever want is someone to take the bullet for your program, and he did. So there's your hot take for you. I'm pro Ward, and now we'll leave it to the callers. So tell me why I'm wrong.
Hopefully highly compensated for doing that, too.
Protect the man. But appreciate you both having me, and thank you guys for being here.
Thanks again.
It's a great way to wrap up Hour 1 of Old School. Hour 2's next.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
When your business is ready for its next move, I'm here to help make it happen. I'm Corey Vandeweghe, Commercial Loan Officer at Midwest Bank on 70th and Pioneers Boulevard. Lincoln is full of bold ideas and hardworking business owners, and I'm proud to support the people driving that progress. Whether you're launching something new or investing in growth, I'll work with you to find lending solutions that move your business forward. Swing in anytime. I'd love to hear what you're building. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank, member FDIC.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Are you looking for a fresh new hangout spot? Let me tell you about Liquid Assets Sports Bar, where Mondays mean new weekly drink and food features. With 23 taps, a full lineup of cans and bottles, and 40 TVs blasting every sports package out there, you'll never worry about missing a play. Savor high-end spirits at their stylish back shelf bar, enjoy a healthy, family-friendly menu, and catch all your favorite teams every day. Doors open daily at 11 a.m. Liquid Assets, located on 2755 Jamie Lane in South Lincoln.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
If you become ill or injured at work and need an experienced attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court, protect your rights and freedom to get you the best possible results for your case and the justice you deserve. Trust your rights and freedom to Liberty Law Group, attorneys serving Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs, quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside's margaritas and old-fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Back Nine Golf in South Lincoln is the premier indoor golf experience in the state. Back Nine Golf is open to the public with 24/7 access for members. Whether it's a range session to get accurate club distances, 18 holes with some buddies, or a one-on-one lesson with Back Nine's PGA teaching professional, their top-of-the-line full-swing simulators are there to help you lower your score in perfect conditions. Learn about Back Nine's variety of memberships today and see the facility for yourself at 7501 South 15th Street in Lincoln, just south of 14th and Pine Lake. Back Nine Golf, the premier indoor golf experience.
Coming at you live from the heart of downtown Lincoln. This is Old School with Foreman and Orman. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Here's Troy Detmer dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score! Woo! Foreman got it, and it's touchdown Huskers.
Black shirts answer the call one more time. And Austin Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman is sponsored by Graham Tire Company of Lincoln. Your tire store next door with 4 Lincoln locations. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. Away we go into hour 2 of Old School, 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Austin Orman, Jay Foreman with you, and some TBD guests live from the ATP Lincoln Challenger 2026. We will be here today. We will be here tomorrow as well, 9 to 6. And Wednesday, don't forget Wednesday, we are out at Haymarket Park, American Association All-Star Game. We can't quite see Hawks Field at Haymarket Park from here. We can see top of Pinnacle Bank Arena. We can see Memorial Stadium, but baseball facility a little too low to peek out from behind the trees. That's where we'll be on Wednesday, and we might as well be back here again toward the end of the week for another day as well. We will have your chance to win a pair of tickets to the American Association All-Star Game Wednesday evening coming up this hour here on the show. 402-464-5685 if you do want to be a part of the proceedings. Jay, we spent some time last week talking about the salary cap in the NBA. Is it working and whatnot? Well, Victor Wembanyama is bending the salary cap to his will after a way. It was announced pretty much right as we were getting off the air on Friday that Victor Wembanyama is signing the 5-year, $252 million maximum rookie scale contract extension, except he goes with the 25% max, not the 30% super max. So that's saving the Spurs essentially $51 million by him taking only 25% of the salary cap on his extension. Good or bad for Victor Wembanyama, good and bad for the Spurs, good or bad for the NBA?
It's good for all of them. Now, Wembanyama is probably looking at Brunson and see how it worked out for him, right? Obviously, Wembanyama knows that he has probably another contract or two, big one, that's going to even be more than that the next one if he continues to progress or when he continues to progress. Mm-hmm. And so he's thinking long term for the betterment of trying to win a championship. And so, really when you think about it, that $51 million, that might be Braun Bond money.
It won't kick in this year.
Oh, it won't kick in this year? Dang.
Yeah. Because Wemby would have been, the 2022 NBA draft, so he'll be playing
he's got one
in the fourth year. So the section will kick in next year.
I think for him, he's pretty marketable over, in where he's originally from. So he's making money off the court, and obviously he's starting to grow his brand here, nationally. And so he sees the bigger picture. I'm not surprised, obviously no state tax. And so he's able to kind of forecast that as well. It's great for the NBA that where, you have a lot of players. It's not even a perception; it's a reality. A lot of them want to be overpaid and work less, right? Or in that kind of the perception is greed. You can't say that about him. You can't say that about Jalen Brunson. Mm-hmm. And then I think it's good for the Spurs because you're able to maybe do some things in the future and forecast your future potentially free agency to continue to surround him. And obviously you would go with great players, but then obviously hopefully get on a run and win some championships. And so look, you're taking up that much of the salary cap. It's a great day, right? Because you get your future more than well taken care of. And then obviously your future is going to be taken care of on the next one and then so forth and so on. And so for him, it's really refreshing to see a star player see the bigger picture because there's a lot of teams both in every sport, whether it's hockey, MLB, obviously football, and obviously basketball. Sometimes if they take it every single dollar that they can, it can destroy their chances of winning. And then what happens later in their career, they try to bounce around and try to get at a championship, and it never works out. So I think for him, I think he wants to try to have a legacy of being a champion, and that's what the all-time greats do, and that's what he wants to be.
There's a lot that goes into this decision from Victor Wembanyama. How much of a factor, Jay, do you think was the series loss to the Knicks and seeing Jalen Brunson be one of those players that took, quote unquote, hometown discount to put that team together?
Oh, it was talked about. I'm sure Popovich kind of told him about how they built some of the Spurs teams. I'm sure there was concessions by Tim Duncan at times to, keep Ginobili. I remember when Ginobili was waiting a couple times to get his contract. I'm sure there were some things that not only Tony Parker, Tim Duncan did to be, part of the, championship run and organization. It worked out really well for them. And I think, there's a certain type of athlete and star player that's going to be open to something like this, right? And so Wembanyama, obviously, when you hear him talk and watch how he moves, he's a deep thinker. He can see the, just not now. He sees the benefit in the future. And so, I don't think it was a hard sell. You probably had more of a hard sell to his agent. And then, the business got done. But I also think it's just part of who he is and what he wants to do. He saw the benefits of it. He sees the benefits of keeping that team together over in New York. And you don't want to have, I don't think it's apples to apples of this situation, but you don't want to have the Celtics, which, had literally odds-on favorite to win, obviously, to win the championship, especially with JT coming back late in the season and still playing well, blow up. And then the Celtics are talking about, well, we can't have, two high-priced players. And so Wembanyama's more than earned it, and he wants to continue to establish his legacy. And it's not just on the court; it's off the court, it's in the building, and obviously out there in the perception stage as well.
A really interesting tweet from the end of last week by Sam Quinn. It would have been over the weekend last week or 2 weekends ago now. It was after that Brad Stevens press conference with the Jaylen Brown trade and everything. He looked at how much the last 10 NBA champions ended up spending on their top 10 players just in terms of percentage of the cap. This year's Knicks, Karl Anthony Towns and OG Anunoby were the two most expensive players, not Jalen Brunson. Now, pretty key guys in Towns and Anunoby, but you go to Jalen Brunson first. 24-25, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, okay, makes sense. And Isaiah Hartenstein. Also makes sense given that Jalen Williams and Chad Holmgren are still on their rookie scale deals. So young, cost-controlled, effective talent. The year before that, the two most expensive players on the Celtics were not Tatum and Brown. It was Holiday and Porzingis as the two most expensive. Jokic and Murray, Curry and Thompson, Middleton, Antetokounmpo, James and Davis, Lowry and Gasol, not Kawhi in 2019 in Toronto. Steph and KD, and then KD and Clay round out the decade there. So there might be something to that logic of, hey, if you're our best player in this new cap environment, are you willing to sacrifice, essentially, what would that be? $12.5-ish million a year, $10 million a year for Wembanyama, $51 million in total over the life of the extension. So about $10 million a year. Are you willing to do that for team success? And that's why I ask you, Jay, is that a win for the NBA and for the players? Because I think, from the player side of things, how much the owners like that coin.
Yeah.
You know that's what they're motivated by. And they're always trying to find ways. Can we get 1% more of league revenue? Can we take 1% more away from the players? And so I think it's great and perfectly noble to talk about the sacrifice these guys are making to keep their teams together. But I think this is another way that the players might say, hey, if you're the best player in the league or a top 5 player in the league, go get your money.
Yeah,
that might help us down the line. Because if you're willing to sacrifice.
Baseball is not going to do that. So it goes both ways. I don't think that it'll give up any more piece of the pie, but I think it will be a negotiating employ for future guys that think they're franchise players or young players that are franchise players. When you think you're going to come into, you might be like, hey, we're only going to offer you this because of Wembanyama and Brunson did that. And so, but also I think, when it depends on the agent as well, because if the agent should be working for the player. If the player wants to get the 30% or whatever he wants, then he'll get it. If he doesn't get it from team A, he'll get it from team B. So it's a short-term thing where the owners feel like they're winning. But then also I think when you look at the ownership of the Spurs, they're trying to win championships. Now I think with Dolan.
Well, and Wemby's motivation seemed to be winning oriented as well.
It always has been. And legacy oriented too. So he wants to be the best that's ever, played, or in his mind, he wants to be that. And he wants to do things that lead to that. I mean, the way he spent last offseason led to what was individual, what he got individual accolade wise this year, along with team success. And so he sees the bigger picture. But, the owners, if you try to take that to every single player, it will not work because there will be one player that stops it. And then obviously it'll kind of reset itself. So I think it's a very unique relationship between the player, ownership, team, opportunity. Also, look at Jalen Brunson. He'll make that up for the rest of his life, right?
Yeah.
And but then on the flip side, you say, you know what, you never can replace that $51 million. But I think when you think long term, Jalen Brunson, where he's at in Knicks history, will pay for it tenfold. And it's obviously Wembanyama, once he gets a championship or 2 or 3 or whatever, 4, and becomes the player that they think he can be and that he wants to be, I think it'll be well worth it.
There is no hard cap in the NBA. We know this, but
Right.
that second apron is essentially functioning as a hard cap in a lot of ways. We see teams making a bunch of moves to get out from underneath it, and the incredibly punitive penalties that are placed on them. And that's where I'm of two minds about that, Jay, because obviously you're worth what the market says you're worth. You know, if the money is flowing like it is, you go back to the 2015-16 year when some like low mid-tier guys were getting double-digit millions of dollars. That's what the market says they're worth. I'm not trying to say they weren't, but they took advantage of a time when league revenues were booming, and you give them credit for that and say, hey, good for you. But at the same time, I do think that, if this is, the quote unquote market correction, that might not be a bad thing either, right? Players, go get your money. I'm not going to tell you not to do that, but it does seem like, the perception of guys playing fewer games, especially in the regular season, players wanting to play fewer games with the travel and fewer back-to-backs and all that. If the stars are saying, hey, we're willing to take less money, obviously some of that will get spread around to the middle tier of the NBA, like we talked about previously on the show. But also I think it, with that second apron, is functioning more to keep the money in check, where it's not going to seem like it's pay to win as much. You have to draft well, you have to capitalize
Develop
on
a little bit,
development and guys that are in your building right there. And so maybe the days of role players getting, 20 to 25 million are over, or maybe that's just what they have to get used to is, hey, you just have to reshuffle your expectations, right? Yeah, it's unfortunate for you that 5 years ago you would have been making, $7 million a year more or whatever, but you're still going to make plenty of money, and now you have a better chance to compete for championships. I wonder how many players will be okay with that trade-off versus how many will say, no, I only have, 7 to 10 years. If I'm a good player in the NBA, I need every last dollar.
I mean, I think it's going to be a case-by-case basis. We saw the same thing when they put in the rookie salary cap for the NFL. I talk about it all the time. You had rookies coming in making, tight ends making more than Tony Gonzalez and Antonio Gates. Well, they put a stop to it. So when timing's everything. It's no different than me looking at these kids getting NIL. Timing's everything. They're able to take advantage of it. There soon will be a cap in NIL. Well, the guys that come after them were like, man, you guys had it really good. So the market always kind of resets itself and then resets again. And then obviously, you have trends, and all the trends are based on who wins. And you got to think that's what you want to do. You see it, you saw it all the time. I mean, an example is the Timberwolves. So they built their roster to face the Nuggets, and they built their roster kind of, to replicate that. Now their GM came over, assistant GM came over to be their GM.
Oh, that's the lead guy.
Or lead guy,
He was the GM, and then he took the president
that's
job
right,
over there in Minnesota.
So then when you think about it, it's always a copycat league. It's no different than when the Tampa Bay Bucks won the Super Bowl, everybody started playing Tampa 2. Patriots went on their run. Everybody
the first time.
Oh, yeah, the first time. Yeah. They started playing Tampa 2.
Mm-hmm.
They even played Tampa 2 even with Todd Bowles, but more really with Monty Kiffin. Then when Patriots won, a lot of 3-4 defense, and you see it in football. Nick Saban and 3-4 defense. It's just a matter of trends. Now we're dealing with big time money, and they're trying to sell it that way. Now they have the second apron that's kind of a salary cap, and so the agents and the players and obviously the powers that be have got to be creative on how to work around that. There will be a way around it. Because ultimately the agents want to get the most money for the players, because if you're a middle player, that's a good player, grossly overpaid, you want to steal as much as money as possible, because once you get out of the league, it's hard to get back in. We just had the however many, tweets or whatever you want to call it and interviews about, who was it? Your boy from Utah that plays out with the Wizards now. Was it the Lakers? He was talking about it just became like the have and have nots, and now you're
Kuzma.
Kuzma. You're out of the league, and so the NBA is in a little bit of a tricky situation. Top heavy, really old aging superstars, great superstars, ambassadors for the league. A lot of young players trying to find their way, overpaid, and the perception in reality is, which is both, that they want to be overpaid and less work. And so, you got to put in things that kind of really kind of get it in like good business wise. And so they're struggling with that right now. And obviously when you have Wembanyama willing to maybe take a little bit of a haircut for the bigger process, I think it's better for everybody. Now, it's not better overall probably for the players, but I would say this to any other player. You're not Wembanyama. you don't have to worry about. There's few and far between that have to worry about that.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
That type of contract.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I'm glad you went kind of that NFL route as well. That's where I wanted to go next with some tie-ins. I just can't get out of my head, Jay, that I think it was the Chiefs' last Super Bowl win made Patrick Mahomes the first quarterback to win a Super Bowl taking more than 15% of the salary cap.
Yeah.
You talk about a copycat league. That's been the way teams have been successful in the NFL is, you get Tom Brady to discount in Tampa Bay.
For years, and with New England, too.
In New England, absolutely, right? That's where he was probably better known for it. Or the Eagles with Jalen Hurts. When did they win? On his rookie deal, before his big extension kicked in. Not saying it's impossible to win with one big money player, but you've seen the Chiefs overgo a whole retooling, right? And we know that the NFL is kind of fungible with the cap. It's a bonus here, signing roster, convert, whatever. But it doesn't change the fact that the most valuable commodity in the NFL is a quarterback on a rookie deal. So you can go pay other players around him on the ready-made roster.
Right. It's either you have to be successful with a quarterback on a rookie deal, or your best players or one of your best players on a rookie deal, or you have a quarterback that's, Tom Brady's an icon. Mahomes is getting there, or if he probably is, that knows that they're going to make so much money off the field, taking a haircut for the betterment of the team in the Super Bowl run, pays 10 times more for him because he's the quarterback.
Right.
So, but when you think about it, Jalen Hurts probably can't have that mindset because he's not that, right?
Yeah.
He's not them. And he's a great player,
Good, yeah.
right? Great player, but are you iconic status? So most players can't think like that. So because they aren't afforded the chance. Or you have like Jimmy Garoppolo, right? You overinvest in him, kind of gets banged up a little bit. Sounds kind of like, freak accidents. And next thing you know, you're over leveraged to him. Now you're trying to get rid of him. Now you're in salary cap space. And now you're kind of really trending up or treading water upstream. And you're reluctant to play the guy in Brock Purdy that actually you could have paid earlier and saved yourself because you can't, because you got Jimmy Garoppolo on the books, right? And so, because, he thought he was a franchise quarterback. He was sold to you as a franchise quarterback. He actually was not, but you paid him like it. So then you're up, what creek. So, I think it's on a case-by-case basis. I think it's also based on who that player realistically is. There's very few Wembys, Brady's, Mahomes.
Yeah.
I guess you can throw Brunson in there. And I think Brunson's situation was a little different, right? Pushed out in Dallas, right? Overlooked, right? Underappreciated in Dallas.
Yep.
Going back home, it's a different way you sell it versus Wembanyama. By the time he was that dude 5-10 years ago when they played in when he was on the
FIBA World Cup. Yeah,
he was out. You knew exactly what was coming. So however you get there, if you have the right player that could do it, it's not going to be every team in the NBA is going to do it. It's not going to be every team in the NFL is going to do it. And so that's why I think the owners have to be very, very careful trying to spread this thing, amongst all of them, because on the flip side, when it flips back, you're going to be paying tenfold for it.
Last thing before we take our first break of the hour, the other part of this for Wembanyama is that he's only 22 years old. With this 5-year extension that's going to kick in after this coming season, he's still in his prime.
Yeah.
If he's going to hit free agency, that'd be at age, 27 or 28, which is right when you want to be hitting free agency. Again, talk about timing's everything. To be the age that he is, to be able to sign the extension and still potentially have the big money contract there for your prime is huge. I will say I'm concerned about Wemby. That second contract might be it for him. Guys that are that big just don't last.
Especially
which
if
is
they're
why
playing
I'm
at that rate.
Right, that rate, that level, everything that's going to be expected of him. Obviously, I'm not trying to predict that. I'm not hoping for it, but it's just it's borne out over decades of time in the NBA, and that's the other reason I'm maybe a little bit questionable. Or questioning a little bit of Wembanyama taking less money, just because the track record of guys, not that there's many guys his size, but just big guys in the NBA at the elite level like that, when you're slender and the game's being played the way it is, I wouldn't be shocked if we look back and Wemby's only got a, quote unquote 10-year NBA career.
Yeah, it'd be pretty hard. I mean, we've seen Ralph Sampson, we've seen different guys like that weren't able to last, but I think the sports science is a little bit better, and I think he takes a tremendous amount of care of his body, and he addresses some of those issues to create longevity, right? And then also you have the Spurs that are okay with not forcing him back out there, and they've been able to play at a pretty good clip without him. I think they drafted and hopefully in their case, they develop those guys to offset any type of rest or little minor like knickknacks that he has, that they can wait till he's fully healthy. But ultimately, you're right. But then, look, Wemby's going to get a second contract. You're right. That might be it, because the type of money he'd be making through obviously his rookie deal, this one, and then the next one wouldn't match up if you need him to come in there and play like on a 1 or 2 year deal. So I think obviously with him, he'd probably be going back overseas and handling his business over there. So ultimately it was a relationship and team effort by the Spurs and Wemby, and we'll see how it works out.
We'll go to break. When we get back, your chance to win a pair of tickets to Wednesday's American Association All-Star Game. Old School will be remote from Haymarket Park on Wednesday. We'll have a trivia question fired up for you on our starter Heyman Jewelers text line. We'll give you that. Talk some NFL top 10s and top 100s. It's that time of the year as it is football season in Jay Foreman's mind. ESPN and other places are coming out with their ranking list. We'll go over a couple of those, the thought process behind them. And again, your chance to win a pair of tickets to Wednesday night's American Association All-Star Game. We'll do that next on Old School.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Graham Tire presents Life's Greatest Adventures.
Okay, buddy, here we go. Just keep your eye on the ball. All right, just swing right through it. Yeah, good job. Way to go. Hey, run it out. Okay.
Great road trips start with great service. Graham Tire, your tire store next door, with 5 convenient Lincoln locations, getting you to the places that matter most.
Where there's smoke, there's flavor, and there's plenty of that at the Smokehouse at Super Saver in Russ's Market. Award-winning, old-world recipes made in Lincoln since 1984 with many flavors and smoked sausage and brats to choose from. The Smokehouse has something special for every season: brats and sausage for the grill, beef sticks and beef jerky for snacking, and smoked salmon, smoked turkey, and smoked hams for your holiday feast. Stop by the Smokehouse at Super Saver in Russ's Market today to fulfill your search for real flavor.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Hey, Nebraska sports fans. This summer, professional tennis returns to Lincoln. Watch rising stars of the ATP Tour compete for over $100,000 in prize money for the 2026 Lincoln Challenger from July 12th to the 19th at the Sid and Hazel Dillon Tennis Center. Witness top tennis pros compete right here in Lincoln and experience tennis close up like never before. To purchase tickets or to sign up for volunteer opportunities, please visit www.lincolnchallenger.com. Not just a stop, a stage. Lincoln Challenger 2026.
Building a new home can be a challenge. A lot of big choices. With our Remington homes, we have designed 15 different floor plans that appeal to a wide range of people.
Bob Benish of Aspen Builders, talking about Remington Homes, which makes the home building process easier.
People really enjoy being able to go to our website, which is remingtonlincoln.com, pick a plan, pick a price point, go through and build it yourself. You have a lot of options, whether you want granite, painted trim, wood floors, more stone, all options with our Remington homes. People do not want to be married to their house payment. You're able to get what you really want in a home for a great price with very limited stress. And that's what Remington homes are all about.
Home building is easier with a Remington home from Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at remingtonlincoln.com. remingtonlincoln.com.
Hey everyone, it's Brie Marie. Join me and James Rowland every Sunday night at 7 p.m. from April through August for the Finish Line. We'll do laps around the headlines and dirt track racing, let the rubber meet the road for NASCAR news, and talk with special guests, including your favorite local drivers and racing personalities. That's the Finish Line, Sunday at 7 p.m. all summer long on 93.7 The Ticket.
Grandma and Grandpa, Mom and Dad, then the kids, and now the grandkids. Judson Irrigation has provided lawn sprinkler system design, installation, repair, and service to 4 generations. They're just like members of the family. Loyalty, trust, service. It's what you deserve and expect from Judson Irrigation.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill. Open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
Your line just went down. Production stopped. A supervisor wants answers. And someone's digging through a binder for the maintenance history. Every one of those minutes costs money. And most of the time, that breakdown could have been prevented. That's where Maintain X comes in. Maintain X catches the failure before it happens. Preventive maintenance plans on every key asset to improve reliability. Work orders assigned and tracked right from your phone. Everyone from the floor to the front office is in the loop. Real-time dashboards give managers instant visibility into what's been completed, what's overdue, and where the bottlenecks are. No more guesswork. Just a smarter, faster maintenance operation. Companies on Maintain X have cut unplanned downtime by over 30% and saved thousands on parts and labor every year. See what it can do for your operation. Try Maintain X free at maintainx.com.
Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for Ready Mixed Concrete in Lincoln and Palmyra. Ready Mixed offers great pay, medical and retirement benefits, paid time off, and they cover the cost of CDL training. Apply with Ready Mixed Concrete today to be eligible for a $2,500 hiring bonus. From Nebco's beginning in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today with Ready Mixed Concrete. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
93.7 The Ticket is Lincoln's home for Kansas City Royals baseball in 2026. Catch all the action as Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and a pitching rotation led by Cole Reagans try to lead the Royals back to the postseason. That's Kansas City Royals baseball all summer long. On the air in Lincoln at 93.7 The Ticket. Back to old school with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket.
That's right. Welcome back in. It is Old School, brought to you by the good folks over at Graham Tire Company. Really appreciate them and everything they do for us here on the show. 402-464-5685. We'll give you that trivia question for your chance to win a couple of tickets to the American Association All-Star Game coming up here at the end of the segment. Jay, it is list season. We made it. It's how I know it's football season, or it's just around the corner. People are starting to make their list. ESPN has gone through a bunch of positions. They got to quarterback today. Mm-hmm. Some evaluators ranked Patrick Mahomes the number one quarterback in the NFL. Some others ranked him as low as 9th in the NFL. It was a tight race between him and Josh Allen for the top spot in those rankings, with really no surprise to anybody. The flip side of that, then, the NFL's top 100 players for 2026. Last year's number 2 player dropped 67 spots. In 1 year, Lamar Jackson went from the second best player in the league to 69th best.
Yeah.
Make those evaluations make sense.
Yeah. I mean, look, he's a dominant player. Now, some of the things that you start to hear coming out of the locker room or organization probably affected that. I mean, I think, when he played and he had the full arsenal of weapons, I mean, he was Lamar Jackson, as you know and love. And so it's hard for me to believe there's 67 other guys that are better than Lamar Jackson in any position. And, he's still one of the top quarterbacks. He's one of the top offensive threats and obviously football players in the NFL. And so, the lists are a list, and it's a popularity contest. And it's just like the Pro Bowl. You got guys always voting for their buddies and making sure guys get through. And, what the NFL also has a little bit of control of it, I'd assume, is that who you want to push to be, the next MVP or perceived to be the dominant player. And obviously Lamar Jackson's got some things he's got to work on. Obviously he has a new regime coming in. And so the pressure's on. And also, let's not forget, this is not a contract year for him, but it's a franchise year for him. Are you our franchise quarterback moving forward? And have you, gotten better off the field? The immaturity, not being at the facility on Wednesdays, going home after games and all that type of stuff, weighs in on some of those evaluations. It's hard for me to believe, especially defensive players that would have played against Lamar Jackson, that you would rank more than 3 quarterbacks or offensive players higher than him.
Yeah.
he is flat out dangerous. He will make he is giving people plenty of nightmares. I'm assuming that he's motivated to come in and created that discipline in order to do so. Because once he sees that, I'm sure it's going to really, allow him to play freely.
Let's break it down this way. Let's say that you're voting, you're putting a list together, and you're trying to figure out the top 10 at any position. The following 5 factors: production, role, contract, injuries, and miscellaneous, the locker room stuff, drama or lack thereof. How would you rate those 5 factors in terms of importance and how you're going about evaluating a player?
Production is number one. And then you evaluate that. How do you play in the big games? But production is number one. Contracts probably 3. Miscellaneous locker room stuff is probably 2.
Then role and injuries.
Or no, role is number 2.
Because that kind of feeds into production.
Right. Role is number 2. And then miscellaneous, contract, and then injuries are the number 5. Now it's part of everything, but it's like Joe Burrow. He's had a lot of bad luck. I mean, he's, threw the ball, hit somebody's helmet, hit a nerve, and then he's done. Had people
appendectomy.
All that type of stuff. It's like you can't control it, and so that's the last that I evaluate him on. Now, obviously, you want him to be durable, but I think also the injuries is this, and I know that I forget who it was that was a left tackle for the Chiefs, right? And him and Patrick Mahomes was hurt, and they kept asking him, "Are you going to be able to play?" Patrick Mahomes said, "Don't worry about it. I'll go win anyways."
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not just the fact that you have some bad luck. It's like how much do you, and are you willing to play through? That's probably a bigger evaluation to me. We talked. I forget who it was. Was it Danny Amendola? They were talking about that. Wouldn't play through some injuries for the Patriots or something like that. And obviously Julian Edelman did, and that's the difference of those two. And you've heard about different players. That's probably more the evaluation versus, do you, have a, appendectomy or whatever it is, for Joe Burrow.
The top 10 rankings from NFL quarterbacks from ESPN. Josh Allen is at number 1. Mahomes got more first place votes, but there was a much more condensed spread of votes for Allen. He finished.
He accumulated a lot of bigger votes.
He did, yeah. His range was 1st through 4th, whereas Mahomes was 1st through 9th. At number 3, how about this? 38-year-old Matthew Stafford jumps up ahead of Joe Burrow, who was number 3 last year, and Lamar Jackson, who was number 4 last year. Both those guys slide down just those one spot a piece. What do you think of that top 5?
I like Matthew Stafford. I mean, he's been productive his whole career. Great year last year. On the cusp of taking him to the Super Bowl. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he was number 2. I mean, he's from game 1 to 17 he was dominant. And he's been like that. And him and Sean McVay have been a great match. And obviously he's continued to extend his career. And he did that with going into training camp last year with the quote-unquote back injury, or they also tried to trade him in the offseason or at least put it out there. So he's able to fight through some adversity. So that's that locker room stuff I'm talking about, right? Then you look at his role. He's excellent in his role. Production is off the chains. And then number 5, he's durable. The contract actually probably needs to be a little bit higher, but he got re-upped here, and so he's got some new money. So, he passes all the check marks, and I think he plays bigger in big games, and that's why I really like him.
6 through 10. How about this? Number 6, Dak Prescott got votes as high as number 3 and was also unranked. Bit of a lost year last year for Dak Prescott, who, when healthy, Jay, certainly has the production.
Oh, his production is for him he's up there. He puts up hellified numbers. Contract, he's up there too. So he's getting highly compensated. And I think Dak overall is a pretty good leader. I think he kind of towed the company line because he had to. And then I think that he kind of got put out there on Front Street, and obviously I think he was compensated for it. And then, his role is to be a stat stuffer, and I think he's done that. So, look, like you said, it's a lost year not only for Dak, but for that Dallas Cowboys offense. For them to get Pickens to come in and be viable and actually be a pretty close to dominant receiver, right, and stay like on the up and up, Dak Prescott's part of that. The quarterback wide receiver relationship between him and Pickens obviously is good enough for Pickens to show up every day even when it's hot like today, and be productive. So
there's conditioning in Jerry World now that they're practicing in there for training camp.
Yeah, but the fact that he's making his way to the facility and staying on the up and up, Dak Prescott's a part of that.
Number 7, Justin Herbert, votes as high as number 5. He was also unranked. This is a guy, Jay, that to me is maybe the most fascinating quarterback evaluation going right now, because it's a guy that has spent his career putting up numbers and then gets gets slapped with the just do your job coach in Jim Harbaugh, which I think in a lot of ways is good for Justin Herbert. Is turnover prone at times. I like to see Justin Herbert let it rip, let it loose, got a heck of an arm and plenty of talent there. I just don't know how that's going to work with him being, kind of harnessed by the Harbaugh system. Run first offense on top of a new offensive coordinator and Mike McDaniel, who comes in with a completely different sort of run scheme and mindset. The Chargers, to me, there's a lot of talent there. I think the quarterback is good enough to win a Super Bowl, even if he's not top 5 in the league.
Sure.
But I just don't know how well that's going to play out on the field. And I'm fascinated to watch that experiment.
Yeah, I mean, talent-wise, the Chargers got a really good roster. They can put it up against anybody. And obviously they feel like their quarterback is just as talented as anybody that's, ranked ahead of him or higher than him, and even, obviously over anybody below him. And so, look, he I wouldn't say he's kind of like, handicapped from Harbaugh, but I think he's constrained a little bit. So the overall team philosophy I'd like to see with Mike McDaniel coming in is that let him rip it a little bit, because what Herbert talent-wise, that big, that fast, that be able to throw on schedule, off schedule, arm strength, deep and short, accuracy is off the charts. He needs somebody that's able to come in and or is allowed to take him to that next level. And then also, the Chargers have to do a good job protecting him. I go back to remember he played against the Chiefs and they beat the dog tar out of him. They went down to Jacksonville and they lost that game. They were probably up by like 25, 30 points. Those are the things that where you like to see him, not the Jacksonville game, being able to close it and kind of take the reins. And so I think Mike McDaniel as a play caller will be excellent for him. I think his completion percentage will go up, even though it's pretty high right now. I think he will push Harbaugh to open up the reins a little bit, which then I think will lead to production. So if that offensive line stays healthy with this kind of 49ers-esque run game and thought process, I think you're going to see him be pretty consistent from game 1 to 17.
Yeah, you mentioned Alton Slater, both guys that went down with injuries last year. Number 8, Drake May. Number 9, Jared Goff. Overrated. Number 10, Caleb Williams. That's a little high for
1 year wonder.
Me.
1 year wonder, and he didn't really. It wasn't a 1 year where it was game 1 to game 17. He got hot there, but rightfully so. He got comfortable. The coaches got comfortable with him. He finally got, I guess, a hold of the offense. I think sometimes with these rankings, you can get blinded by the last second comebacks, the deep balls when you're down by. In the NFL, if you're almost in a better position if you have a really good quarterback and play caller being down by 17. You saw it when the Houston Texans were up by 28-0 against the Chiefs. That was like, Andy Reid was right in his wheelhouse with over half the play, and then they come back smoking them. So I think sometimes you can get blinded by that. But I think Caleb Williams is actually, I like Caleb Williams as far as like a quarterback, in the rankings higher than actually Drake May. I think Drake May is more along the he's way better than J.J. McCarthy, but that's where he's at. Now, granted, he doesn't have the talent around him that everybody else has done, and he's made a lot of strides. But I look at Caleb Williams, what he was able to do. And when you talk about production, very productive. Role, he was there. I think the exclamation points, or not the exclamation point, but the extra stuff in the locker room, that's changed for him, right? When he
pretty
came
quick,
in,
all things considered.
Well, I think when Johnson came in, all that stupid stuff was cut a little bit, not to a minimum, and you can see it with the way the players are played around him, and they play with him, and he lays it on the line. He's developing into more of a leader, so you expect him to be even better this year based on what he was able to do in the locker room.
Just need him to bring the whole lay it on the line concept out of DJ Moore a little bit more.
Yep.
Deep cut. But on that point, Williams gets the number 10 spot in this ranking, and ESPN says 4 quarterbacks, Williams, along with Sam Darnold, Jordan Love, and Jaden Daniels, were very close in voting for this 10th spot. So we took it to tiebreakers, gathering input from several general managers and executives. Why did Williams barely win out for the final spot on the list? He's the hardest of the 4 for teams to prepare for and defend. He's the most dynamic of the group, one GM said. Got the arm talent, overall athleticism suited for today's game.
Yeah, his role and how he fits his role and how actually Ben Johnson has created that role within that offense leads to him being in that ranking. And to be honest with you, he would have been higher based on Drake May being there for me.
So if May's out of the list and you're left with Darnold, Love, and Daniels, who are you taking for next season?
Well, Daniels is wait and see.
Injury.
I would probably take Darnold. I mean, he's done it over the last 3 years, right? No matter what. Now, he kind of like those playoff games, that's not all on him. That was on the play caller a little bit as well. He's done it over the last 3 years. I'd like to see another year of Jordan Love to really validate that contract, right? And I think Sam Darnold, what does he check? Look, his role, he plays it magnificently. He's very, very productive, right? He's durable, right? His contract, he just got paid. And then the locker room stuff, he's the guy that you want, to go in the foxhole with. Mm-hmm. He's a nuts and bolts type of guy. So that's all, and he's a Super Bowl champ.
Yeah.
So he's getting the nod, even though the Super Bowl was a dud as far as like offensive output.
That's fair. It's funny. I would have gone with Love. So just what I know, not as much compared to the former NFL guy, Jay Foreman. We'll go to break, but first, the trivia question. MLB's Home Run Derby is tonight. How many players in Major League Baseball history have won multiple home run derbies? How many players in Major League Baseball history have won multiple home run derbies? First person in with the correct answer, 402-464-5685, will win a pair of tickets to Wednesday night's American Association All-Star Game being held right here at Hawks Field, Haymarket Park in Lincoln. He's Jay Foreman. I'm Austin Orman. We'll give you the answer, give those tickets away, and wrap up hour 2 of the show right after this.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Graham Tire presents life's greatest adventures.
Okay, buddy, here we go. Just keep your eye on the ball. All right, just swing right through it. Yeah, good job. Way to go. Hey, run it out. Okay.
Great road trips start with great service. Graham Tire, your tire store next door, with 5 convenient Lincoln locations, getting you to the places that matter most.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
If one of the things running through your mind as a business owner is the recurring worry of possible cyber attacks, you can let out a sigh of relief. Hamilton Business Technologies has you covered. As the official business IT partner of the Huskers, we offer real-time threat monitoring, advanced security protocols, and more to keep your data safe from harm. We care about the success of Nebraska businesses and communities like yours. Learn how we can help you at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
It's the best time of the year to order a new John Deere planter from Landmark Implement during the early order program. Plan for success with the industry's latest technology. Upgrade to an Exact-Emerge high-speed planter to cover more acres, increasing flexibility and productivity. Now is the time to lock in the best price of the year. Contact your local Landmark location to order your new John Deere planter and experience the Landmark difference.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
Power Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white truck, you know the best workers in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built upon hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Bauer Underground, a family-friendly company with room for advancement.
Your line just went down. Production stopped. A supervisor wants answers, and someone's digging through a binder for the maintenance history. Every one of those minutes costs money, and most of the time, that breakdown could have been prevented. That's where Maintain X comes in. Maintain X catches the failure before it happens. Preventive maintenance plans on every key asset to improve reliability. Work orders assigned and tracked right from your phone. Everyone from the floor to the front office is in the loop. Real-time dashboards give managers instant visibility into what's been completed, what's overdue, and where the bottlenecks are. No more guesswork. Just a smarter, faster maintenance operation. Companies on Maintain X have cut unplanned downtime by over 30% and saved thousands on parts and labor every year. See what it can do for your operation. Try Maintain X free at maintainx.com.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill. Open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket.
Rolling right along and wrapping up hour 2 of the show. We have the answer. One-Eyed Ray. You are correct. You are the winner. 4 players have won multiple home run derbies in Major League Baseball history. Jay, how many of the 4 do you think you could name?
1.
Okay.
Fielder Jr.
Yep. Prince Fielder got it. Then the most recent guy to go back-to-back, Pete Alonso.
I was about to say that. Yeah.
Okay.
Because he plays for the Orioles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. He plays for the Orioles. He's got 25 dingers and probably batting about 225.
New Joey Gallo. You can't escape
Would it
him.
be Guerrero Jr.?
It was neither Guerrero.
Okay.
There is a junior, though, that has won it multiple times. In fact, this is the only player to win it 3 times, is a junior.
No, that ain't that many. It's got to be Ken Griffey?
Ken Griffey Jr., 94, 98,
Really?
99.
Yeah. That's probably like this easy for him. He's got that sweet swing.
Mhm.
I don't know who the 4th is.
A guy that had a run in the early, mid-2000s, Yoenis Cespedes.
Yeah. Just a 3-year period. He could bang though. He could rake.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember his coming out party when he really burst on the scene. Angel Stadium, he's playing for the Athletics, bobbles that ball down the left field line. I think it was Mark Trumbo tries to score on the bobble.
Yeah.
And Cespedes just launches it like 330 feet on the
a
fly
rope, yeah.
right there to the catcher. And I think it was Trumbo was out by a couple steps.
Yeah. You know who I always thought that would be tailor-made for home run contests is was it Yasiel Puig?
Oh, Puig.
Yeah, because of
Crazy Horse.
just big, strong, the flair. Yeah, but just couldn't stay focused.
No, he very much could not. That's a great call for that. Of course, Jack Haglione in the Derby for the Royals coming up tonight. We'll not have that on the air for you. We will resume our Royals coverage after the All-Star break coming up on Friday. Before we go to break, Jay, I did want to throw this out here as well. If the NCAA tournament expansion wasn't bad enough, and this current World Cup expansion wasn't bad enough, FIFA and its president, Gianni Infantino, is officially investigating and looking into expansion to the beautiful number of 64 for the bracket for the World Cup.
Yeah, I saw that. And look, it was a hit this year. It continues they got great games coming up. And so, I think it's the first time in a long time the top 4 made it, right?
Yeah.
So he's trying to obviously piggyback and parlay it off it. The more, the merrier. And probably have to add some host countries, right?
Likely.
It actually opens it up for the U.S. to maybe continue to, obviously host at least the beginning rounds or something like that.
Yeah, I think the way they do it, it's a rotation between 3 different continents. So I think it'll go to Asia next year, because it was Qatar. So maybe it's a Europe and Asia or Europe and Africa next year, and then Asia the next cycle, and then back to
North
America. in general coming up net in 3 World Cups from now. So, but I mean, you still have your CONCACAFs, your UEFAs, and everything like that going on. So it should open the door maybe to some more different kind of friendlies at the very least. If more teams have a chance or need to qualify for the tournament, maybe you'll see some more smaller countries make the trip stateside to play some friendlies.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the Cape Verde and what they were able to do and some of the David Goliath matches that almost came true. Obviously, you had Egypt on the cusp of pulling one of the all-time upsets and so forth and so on. So I think it probably opened doors for something like that. But obviously, the money is the money, and obviously, the more you have it on TV, the more money they get.
Eric, thank you for chiming in 5604 as well. Drumstick and Dad, we see your text. We'll try to get to those throughout the course of the rest of the show. One-Eyed Ray, again, you are the winner of the 2 tickets to Wednesday's American Association All-Star Game. You'll have to stop by the station and pick those up, or let us know if you're able to go to the game. We can bring them with us to our remote on Wednesday, meet you out front with your tickets. We'll go to break. Hour 3 of Old School's next.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs, quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside's margaritas and old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Power Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white truck, you know the best workers in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built upon hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Bauer Underground, a family-friendly company with room for advancement.
Looking for the right utility tractor for your acreage? Find it at Landmark Implement. Shop our selection of used John Deere compact tractors from 1 through 5 series with the power and versatility to track mowing, yard work, snow removal, and more. For a limited time, get 2.9% financing for 36 months, followed by 6.2 for 24 months with approved credit. We've got the right fit for your property and your budget. Stop by your local Landmark Implement or visit us online at landmarkimp.com today and experience the Landmark difference.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Hey everyone, it's Brie Marie. Join me and James Rowland every Sunday night at 7 p.m. from April through August for the finish line. We'll do laps around the headlines in dirt track racing, let the rubber meet the road for NASCAR news, and talk with special guests, including your favorite local drivers and racing personalities. That's the finish line, Sunday at 7 p.m. all summer long on 93.7 The Ticket.
Lincoln is full of great golf courses in a state that is getting national recognition for exceptional golf. Front Country Club is worth the drive, just 40 minutes from Lincoln and home to one of the state's most respected 9-hole courses. Enjoy their restaurant with popular items like a 14-ounce ribeye, 10-ounce sirloin, or chicken fried steak. Open Thursday through Saturday from 5:30 to 10 p.m. Expand your horizons with a trip to Front Country Club, just 40 minutes southeast of Lincoln. It's worth a visit.
When you or someone you know has been seriously injured and you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will fight for the justice you deserve in court to get the very best possible outcome. Trust the compassionate and hardworking attorneys at Liberty Law Group when you need an attorney in Nebraska or Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
A membership with John Henry's will fast-track you to front-of-the-line service, seasonal tune-ups, and far fewer unexpected moments. That means no breakdowns, no waiting on a call, and no nonsense. It's consistent care that prevents small issues from turning into big bills. Join the Comfort Club and get VIP treatment 365 days a year with 24-hour priority response, member-only discounts, and peace of mind on your home's most expensive systems. Call John Henry's.
John Henry's Plumbing. Heating
and electrical.
Graham Tire presents life's greatest adventures.
Okay, take the worm, put it on the hook. Now bring your pole back and throw it forward. And just let the fish come to you.
I got a bite! I got a bite!
It's a big one, Dad.
Great road trips start with great service. Graham Tire, your tire store next door, with 5 convenient Lincoln locations, getting you to the places that matter most.
Hi, Kendall Warnock here, owner of A1 Automotive in Seward. We're more than just an automotive repair shop. We're part of this community. Our mission is simple: serve people well, build trust, and provide reliable vehicle repairs at a fair price. From oil changes to diagnostics, major repairs, we're here to help keep you family safe on the road. A1 Automotive, 408 Main Street, Seward, Nebraska.
Coming at you live from the heart of downtown Lincoln, this is Old School with Foreman and Orman. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Here's Coy Detmer dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score! Foreman got it, and it's touchdown Huskers.
Black shirts answer the call one more time. And Austin Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman is sponsored by Graham Tire Company of Lincoln, your tire store next door with 4 Lincoln locations. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
What up, Hour 3, Jay Foreman, Austin Orman. We are live in effect out here at Sid and Hazel Dillon Tennis Facility, the Challenger event brought by the, was it USTA? USTA Pro Circuit. So a lot of action here in Lincoln, some young and upcoming pros. But Old School is brought to you by Graham Tire, serving the Midwest for 75 years. 4 locations located here in Lincoln. Look them up, GrahamTireOfLincoln.com, and tell them Austin and Jay sent you, and they definitely will hook you up. They will also take care of your car and truck needs as well.
I'm getting back in at some point this week. I drove up to Milwaukee and back over the weekend, and took me right up to the oil change point.
Yeah.
So Graham Tire, I'm coming.
And it's good quality, quick service too.
Yes.
And they don't go in there and try to bang you up for every little thing until you got a filter that has a little bit of dust in there that they got to fix. They actually are honest and thorough. Austin, like you said earlier, it is now football time. The lists are out. Obviously, training camp is starting for some teams next week.
Yeah.
In the NFL realm, and probably for, teams like the Huskers at the end of July or very beginning of August. So it's not only right around the corner, it's right upon us. The big news out of Husker land today, there's 2 things, right? I saw it online, so I don't know if this is next week. There's 2 things. Trey Taylor got his 5-star, which you knew was just a matter of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then number 2, we're going to go over the offensive defensive depth chart that came out, and I think it's post Mekhi Nelson's issue. So it'd be interesting to go and see what everybody thinks about that. But obviously the lead of the day and with Nebraska football is, Trey Taylor being a 5-star. Obviously, he's planted here, from Chicago to Millard South. And obviously went out and obviously won every award in the offseason and really performed well when he needed to, as far as all you can do as a high school quarterback. And he was awarded a 5-star ranking, which obviously after Elite 11 and all the things he was able to do, you thought it was just a matter of time.
Mm-hmm.
But they just came out with it, and I'm sure everybody else would be, if there's, whether it was Rivals that came out with it, I think today, and then obviously 24/7 maybe after, everybody's going to have him at a 5-star. I think the overall ranking for him, I've seen 2 different ones, either 11 or 16. So when you think about it, for Nebraska, obviously they knew that, he's the quarterback of the future and invested in him, and he invested in Nebraska. You see it by the social media presence of, peer recruiting and going to bat for the program. But more importantly for him on an individual basis, it's got to feel good. This is probably the summer of Trey Taylor for him, right? Mm-hmm. You're able to go and win a prestigious award, of any award that you can get as a high school quarterback in the offseason, Elite 11, then able to double down on it. Everybody thinks highly enough of you, both potentially and production-wise, in 7-on-7 and everything else, high school included, that you're a 5-star. There's not many kids that are awarded 5-stars.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's only 30 to 32 every year.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he's tremendously blessed to be awarded that, but I think it bodes well for Nebraska and him individually.
Yeah, no, it sure doesn't hurt anything. Don't peak in high school like me, though, Trey, right? Keep it going, right? 5 stars, just a start.
Yeah.
It's not the end. I don't know what I would have possibly graded out at 5 stars as in high school. But, that's just a really cool sign, right? And, dare I say, Nebraska fans are getting used to having 5-star quarterbacks, coming in the building.
2 for 2.
A little bit, those have been the recruits for Matt Rule out of high school, have been, 5-star legacy. and now a 5-star that Nebraska was in on pretty early.
Pretty early before he was. I think
Midwest.
he was a 3-star, high 3-star when they first looked at him, which obviously that's the way it usually goes. Unless you have a tremendous amount of size and speed or a little combination of both, you're not going to be a 5-star as a sophomore, and because a lot of things can change. But, you got Pittman coming in. I think he's a 5-star as well, right?
Yeah, should be your borderline
really close. 5-star.
Yeah.
4 top 100 recruits, and obviously your quarterback's leading the way. So, for Nebraska and Trey Taylor, as football starts to, kick off, the pressure, is mounting. Now, one thing for, obviously we're still waiting, efforting. What's his dad's name? Is it JR or RJ?
I think it's JR.
Yeah, we're waiting for JR and Trey to come on this show like they said they would. We're going to have to I'm going to get Keith Mann, pull some strings. But, for them, I will say this, for the little that I've seen on the internet or whatever you want to call it, looked like he's putting in work. I think he, was up a couple weeks ago with some players, getting some extra work in outside of his high school workout. So, you like that. I think he's trying to take better care of his body. He's gotten bigger. He's obviously, when you get bigger and stronger, your arm and accuracy continues to get better. And he's taking a leap of faith. I guess I wouldn't call it a leap of faith, but I think he's taking a big leap, moving from Chicago. Now, look, people can say whatever reason they want or why he left Chicago. It could be like, okay, they got 2 other guys that are future 5-stars or whatever, so forth and so on. Or you needed an uptick in challenge as far as talent you go against, and then you a little bit, lower league there, or he's getting paid. It could be a combination of all of them. But
it has to be, right? There's not just one factor.
Yeah, it's right, and that's how you come to decisions. You weigh the factors and you do it, right? And so for him to entrust Millard South, who's put, I think last year, like 14 guys, we did it on the, like 16 guys or 17 guys in the college, 12, 14 power forward major college. It's a great place for him to land. But then also you got to think he's, for a young high school kid, to have the cojones to move. Now, getting paid or not, that's fine, right? You're only, you're really excited when you get paid, because they're obviously professionals. When you check that wire check, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You get that notification. All right. But now he's got to come in here. He doesn't have any friends here besides the guys that maybe he's, met on recruiting trips. Now he's got to come in and go to school, relearn like how to get, to and from practice. Obviously it's, quite a journey. And then obviously go and perform like one of the best players, not only the best player supposedly in the state, but in the nation.
Well, and that's the most interesting part about it to me, Jay, is that he transferred, because obviously he would have been big man on campus out at Carmel in Illinois. But there's just a whole different level seemingly of big man on campus or fascination or level of eyeballs when you transfer, right? I didn't transfer in high school. The biggest jump to me was I went from down the hill at Trinity Elementary all the way up the hill to Lincoln Lutheran for middle school and high school. I can only imagine, just the ogling, the kids who, grew up Husker fans, like, oh my goodness, this guy's gonna be the next Nebraska quarterback. Oh, and he's new. Oh, and that's Trey, and he's so cool. I want to get a piece of him. Obviously, that was going to happen in Illinois, but it's also like, oh yeah, it's just Trey. Grow up down the block from him. I would guess there's a whole nother level of fascination and just interpersonal dynamics that go into transferring as well. And hey, guess what? When he talks about using this as his redshirt year, might be similar at Nebraska next year. Right now, it's a more natural transition high school to college than transferring high schools maybe. But I think if you're Trey Taylor too, I don't have any doubts about Trey Taylor's work ethic, but kind of enjoy being the center of attention while you can in high school where there's pressure. But I mean, you've talked about the weight of the Nebraska job as a coach.
It's totally different.
It's going to be different as a player when you walk in on the bottom rung, no matter how much of the chosen one or the next man you are.
Yeah, I mean, it's different in high school. I mean, he's not going to get any negative press, in high school because, look, he was out there just tossing the ball around. They had everybody out there asking him questions. And, look, he's, the biggest, game he's going to have when they play Westside because you're playing a quarterback that's just as good as you over there in Braylon Warren. And Westside has generally a lot of talent, and they're well coached.
Right? The guy's going to have something to prove.
And I'm sure, Millard North would be good, and I'm sure, obviously all the other, there'll be a team or two there. So, for him, this year, like you said, really enjoy it, but then also enjoy it, embrace it, but then also respect it. And that's the last part is huge for him. And I think he's, done a good job. We have not talked to him yet. We haven't talked to his dad yet. So, but from everything that I've read, it seems like they handle it pretty decent. Now, I know we talked just barely about, he sent out the tweet that they are two different. It's not Dillon, 2.0. It's not, but it is. You're both the best you're both number one ranked quarterbacks. You're coming to Nebraska. You are a professional quarterback here. Football is the only thing going here. Like, as far as football goes, there's not UNO anymore. And so there's not a Kansas City Chiefs or something like that.
Shout out Coach Held at Kearney, but that's a ways away.
But look, you're it. You're it. You keep the lights on or turn them off. And in the mood of Nebraska is based on how Nebraska plays, and the quarterback's a big part of that. Now, I think this year is a great redshirt year on how to deal with pressure, expectations, how to be a leader, lead guys that he's never, he doesn't really know except for a short amount of time. Make your mark there as well. Be coachable, which I'm sure he already is. All those things, it's a great redshirt year, because when you come in as an early enrollee in January, it's all peaches and cream now. Then it comes that you're going to be with the big boys. And then you got to reprove yourself, and then you got to re-level up. Now, whether they decide to redshirt him or not, I think a lot of that has to do with how Calandria plays, the 5-for-5. If Calandria wants to come back with a big shadow overlooking him. But more importantly, this year is a great year for Trey Taylor, if handled correctly, to continue to mature both physically and mentally, football-wise, continue to get better, find a way to become a better leader, create relationships that could be, lifelong, because most of the kids at Millard South are obviously Nebraska kids, except for Tate Ellis. And so, it's good to have him another, outsider implant, to go through it with. But ultimately, there's only one quarterback. So it's a big, it's been a big year for him once he made a decision, actually moved, went forward with it, got involved off season. Now the season is upon him going into high school. So his focus has to be 100% on the Millard South Patriots.
It absolutely does. And not that I'm that far removed from high school, but the further removed I get, the more it stands out to me that this is a life-altering decision for Trey Taylor and his family, right? This is what he thinks he wants to do professionally, and he's making that decision at 18 years old, going to be 19 by the time he sets foot on campus. Holy smokes. There's a lot there, because as you were talking, I was thinking through just the ramifications of, well, what if Calandria does want to come back? And just the pure number, as you were talking about the mood of the state as well, just the pure number of careers that, the quarterback position has in its hands at any given university is kind of wild when you step back and think about it. And that's where I give Trey Taylor and his camp a lot of credit for the way they've handled things. Maybe a little more tweeting than I would have done, but that's not my business. That's theirs. Certainly hasn't been in trouble necessarily, right? If the worst thing he's doing is tweeting a little bit or saying some things that might be not phrased exactly perfectly as a 17 and 18-year-old, the kid's doing pretty well for himself. And so I'm excited to see what this next, I would say year, but really the next, let's call it what it is,
4 months,
5.5 months, by the time we get to state championships, 4.5, 3-4, like you said, what that holds for him. And, if Nebraska Nice is a thing and welcoming, but I think also the standard, that is Nebraska prep football. Is he able to meet that coming in from where he was? And can he be the next step in the evolution of what prep football looks like in Nebraska?
Yeah, I mean, look, Millard South knows quarterback play. You had Jet Tamala, who is the, by stat-wise, the best quarterback to ever step foot, on a high school field in Nebraska. Now, granted, he played as a freshman, but either way, stat-wise,
put him up.
He put up the stats. And he was a 4-star recruit. He's at Alabama right now. So they know what good quarterback plays. And this is right across the city or whatever in the metro is Braylon Warren. There's other good quarterbacks that, throughout the whole state of Nebraska this year. And, they might not be 5-star, but you got guys that can play. So, really for him, it's just, dealing with, day-by-day basis, trying to get, better and better. And then when you come to Nebraska, just understand, like, high school is over. Being recruited is over.
Tell that to the transfer portal.
Well, no, just for him. He's in high school. I mean, it's over for him. Sure. Now you're on the team. And sure, you can help recruit and all that stuff, but ultimately you got to really, really prove yourself on the big scale. But you can't get to next year without handling your business this year. So it's a big year for him. To continue to get better, understanding how to deal with the media, understanding that now you're in the fishbowl, that it will never go away as long as you continue to play well. And, some of it, like, you put yourself there, but also by your athletic ability and obviously the options that you have, you're here at Nebraska. So if you ever want to kind of get a Cliff Notes version or kind of like a little bit of a internship on what it's like to be a professional, it's here at Nebraska. But you gotta look at every situation that players that have came here, both highly ranked and low ranked, and how they handle themselves, and know what's the positive and negative, and then just continue along the process and work on the positive, and then you'll be just fine.
What helped make? I mean, obviously, once you get to campus, I think who was it that said? I think it might have been Trey Taylor. I forget who it was, but essentially it was Jacob Lanier is what it was. The stars reset. No matter how high or low you were ranked, the stars reset once you get to campus. But Jay, the guys on Nebraska, or even when you're in the NFL, highly drafted, highly ranked guys, who were those highly ranked guys that became successful, and what was it aside from talent that helped keep them focused and make them successful?
Man, that gate or down there looks similarly familiar when Andre Johnson walked through the gates in Houston.
Mm.
The way he carried himself, the way he worked. I mean, he probably said like 10 words, until he got on the field and somebody made him mad. And then obviously you saw, some of the things that he was able to do. But he came in and worked. He didn't bat an eye at any of the dumb things that, we didn't do a ton of hazings, but things that he had to do as a rookie. He was very productive. He wanted to learn, and he was coachable. And then one of the best attributes are two. He's one of the best teammates I ever had, and he's one of the best dudes I ever played with.
Mm.
So he checked all the boxes, and he was the number like 3 or 4 pick. Can't miss. And you know what? When you play receiver, and let's face it, he started out like with the offensive line and the offensive system that we had, and I think David Carr was a better quarterback. He never got a chance, but he didn't come in playing with Peyton Manning. So he made a lot of the stuff on his own, catching a slant, running somebody over, taking it 60, making 50-50 catches, and then continue dealing with frustration, dealing with adversity, maybe having the drops a game or two and coming back and not dropping the ball for the rest of the season. So, for Trey Taylor coming in here when Lanier had the great, quote, the stars reset. We used to say you get de-starred. Or that all that the paper champs are out. And, Nebraska down there, if they did take it like we're going to de-star you, that doesn't mean that we're going to break you down. It's like, look, when you get out there on that field, nobody cares what you were ranked. And I've played against guys that were first-round picks that were horrible. I've played against guys that were, undrafted free agents that were better than guys that were drafted. I played with, guys like Brian Shaw, who was a walk-on, is one of the better athletes at linebacker that we ever had. Very, very productive, beat out, guys that were on scholarship, accountable, tough, great teammate, physical, all the things you need to. And, he didn't come in with a lot of accolades. I mean, so it doesn't matter where you're now. You want to have a better, starting spot, but for every 5-star that makes it, there's probably 10 that don't. And the pressure is always going to be there. And so as long as you kind of, handle your business on a day-to-day basis and be able to rise to the competition, you will validate your star. There's 2 things that you want to do when you come to college in the pros. You want to validate your star ranking, right? That means you're going to be all that advertised, or you want to exceed whatever they thought the assumptions were of you. And you do that the same way, right? Accountable, tough, good teammate, physical, great player, and play big in big moments. You got to be able to, I don't care what you do against a non-con. I mean, I do. I want to see you play well and be consistent. What are you going to do when you play against Ohio State? What are you going to do when you play against Iowa? A good Iowa team. I want to see what you do against the best competition every single time as a defensive player or an offensive player. Is your name called? Are you there? I don't need you to be gone during that game. I don't need you to be, 3 sacks against, Meatloaf State, and here we play against like Michigan State or something, and the only time they hear your name is when they see you on the screen.
And you get pancaked 3 times, instead of getting 3 sacks.
Get thrown out the club with a fake ID. So, it'd be, look, it's an interesting time for them. I think the families handled it pretty well. And then also, to be honest with you, being a dad myself, look, Nebraska's had to have created some sort of, like foundation, and obviously they respect, but then also trust to where, because I don't think his parents moved here, right?
I don't believe so.
But I know they probably visit pretty frequent, but to trust that he's in good hands.
Yeah.
No matter what you say, like he's not granted, you get paid, I'm in good hands with Allstate, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I don't think Trey's the same until we see him walking around with a bodyguard. How about that?
Yeah, no, I think that's fair.
But then he can hire me.
Yeah, hey, services are available.
Yeah, I'll just take it. I'll take 75%.
So to go back to that tweet you mentioned at the start of the show, it is, or the start of the hour, it is Dillon, but it's not Dillon.
Yeah.
What can Trey Taylor learn from Dylan Raiola's experience in terms of, hey, this was really good on Dillon's part. This is what he did well. And where can he maybe be the evolution, the next step up, maybe in the 5-star quarterback progression here?
Well, I think that you can take that. Dillon came in and as a freshman, he got a hold of the playbook and knew what he was doing, and he played pretty consistent. Now he wasn't like a Heisman winner, but that shouldn't have been expected. What should have been expected is everybody else raised their level of play.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's questionable where that happened. They were end up being 6-6, and so he was very, very good. Very, very consistent as a freshman. Handled himself like a 5-star quarterback. So that was all that advertised. Dillon said all the right things. His completion percentage obviously was pretty good. He kind of did whatever they asked him to do, kind of play keep away. And then obviously a couple games, got a little bit out of control. But also I think one of the things that, kind of gets lost in the shuffle when, Dillon was leaving, and all of a sudden you go from, you should be up for the Heisman. It was crazy. The media was like, oh, you should be up for the Heisman. Now, they probably shouldn't have been saying it, but I'm just telling you how they can switch on you. You're up for the Heisman, and then they were saying you sucked. Well, you also got to understand, the Maryland game, he didn't play well, but then when you needed him the most, he made a couple plays. So
game-winning drive.
So if I'm Trey, I'm looking at that, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not in the locker room, so I don't know how, close his relationships were with the players. So, you can look at it like that. And Dillon said all the right things when he got, in front of the camera. I think one of the things that Trey could look at, like, maybe not to do, is like maybe not so much, in front of the camera. Now, you can't control that if they keep throwing you up there, but, you can request, I don't need as much. I need to focus on my play. And then obviously I think when you hear a few things where they're saying that, the guys are, gravitate to Trey, or if you hear it about Calandra, then you see, okay, well then I need to be one of the guys, right? And so, understanding and managing the distractions is probably one of the things, and then also be very, very aware and be realistic. The same chariot that they rode you in here on, okay, the same ticker tape parade that they rode you to Millard South on, or rode you to your apartment, or whatever, will be the same U-Haul truck they were going to try to run you up out of town if you ain't playing good. So what I'm saying is this: you're never as good as they say you are. You're never as bad as they say you are. As long as you keep the main thing, and stay in the middle, you'll be just fine.
You're always in the middle of what they say you are. Quote Jay Foreman.
Yeah, well, they're going to tell you you're the best quarterback to play here in Nebraska after about 5 games. You're not. Then you're right. You're just not. And
you also hear the worst quarterback to play at Nebraska after 5 games.
Right. Say he doesn't light it up and only throws for 180 yards through 5 or 6 games. Oh, he's a bust. You're not.
You're not.
Right. You're just Trey, and you're working through it. And so that's, you just got to keep, some sort of sensibility and realistic on where you're at. Don't get consumed by the things out here and the pats on the back, because because we're looking right at that stadium right there. That's your office, and that's the only thing that matters. You're coming and playing quarterback at the University of Nebraska. Tommy Frazier's played here. Jerry Taggy's played here. Turner Gill's played here. Eric Crouch has played here. A plethora of quarterbacks. Obviously Adrian Martinez has played here. Taylor Martinez has played here. Joe Gans and all those guys have played here. And I know I'm missing
Vince Ferragamo.
Right, Vince Ferragamo.
Tommy Armstrong.
Steve Taylor has played here. Listen, dude, you're not going to do anything that we ain't seen before, okay? Like, there's some great players, college players, and someone on the pros at different levels that have played here. Just come in and be Trey Taylor. You'll be just fine.
That's both a reassurance and a challenge.
It is a challenge. Can you handle it?
Well, can you handle it? Can you live up to that standard? Because you've seen some all-time greats, pass through these halls. But at the same time, I think that's a reassurance. You don't have to do something that no one's seen before, right? Nebraska knows what good quarterback play looks like. There's a standard for you to live up to. Sure, there are expectations, if you want to call it that, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
No, I mean, just go play football and, be the best teammate you can be. Work as hard as you can in a day in and day out basis. Embrace adversity and respect success, and you'll be just fine. Now, when you get outside of that in some form or fashion, you'll struggle a little bit because you're going to get your butt kicks at times here. you're going to get beat. You're going to get beat up, and you're going to play a bad game. You got to deal with it. You're going to have success, and you're going to play a great game, no matter who it is. How do you handle it? And that's what's going to be the kind of the go-between on how, his career goes. So we're up against the clock. We'll take a quick break, come back. We'll talk about the depth chart. There's some interesting guys. Austin, you're going to be raw dogging it because I'm just going to be – I didn't send it to you today because I was too hot. My phone didn't work. It's too hot in here. But we'll go through the depth chart. Not much surprise on the offense. Defensively, we want your opinion. Texter's opinion as well. Jay Foreman, Austin Orman, live out here. Sid and Hazel Dillon Tennis Facility. Old School. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you looking for a place to host company get-togethers, team meetings, or group events? Back Nine Golf in South Lincoln is the perfect place to host your gathering, with private bays available to meet with clients while you swing the sticks and improve your game. Back Nine Golf offers traditional golf opportunities while also providing fun games and activities available for non-traditional golfers on their top-of-the-line full-swing simulators. Learn about their corporate memberships today and gather your favorite groups together at Back Nine Golf in South Lincoln, just off 14th and Pine Lake Road.
Graham Tire presents life's greatest adventures.
Okay, take the worm, put it on the hook. Now bring your pole back and throw it forward. And just let the fish come to you.
I got a bite! It's a big one, Dad!
Great road trips start with great service. Graham Tire, your tire store next door, with 5 convenient Lincoln locations, getting you to the places that matter most.
Anderson Ford in Lincoln has 2 convenient locations, which means 2 times the customer service, 2 times the inventory, and 2 times the ability to get you in the car of your dreams. Whether you visit us on the north side or the south side, you'll find more selection and a team that's always on your side. When you're looking for a better way to buy your next Ford, visit Anderson Ford in Lincoln, where exceptional service meets unbeatable selection.
Green's Furnace and Plumbing has been servicing the southeast Nebraska area since 1921, specializing in HVAC systems, bathroom remodels, duct cleaning, backflow testing, and so much more. With a network of trained technicians ready to assist you, Green's Furnace and Plumbing is your source for dedicated commercial HVAC services for your business, building, or even your home so it can run without unwanted interruption. Learn more by visiting their website at callgreens.com or give them a call at 402-467-4444 today.
Lincoln's go-to for fun isn't new. It's a place that's been a staple of the city for years and is only getting better. Matson's Bowling and Billiards always has open bowling available with no long lines, unlike other centers. They have live music almost every weekend and great food at EJ's Bar and Lounge, with seating for 150 people. They have popular meals like the EJ Burger, pizza for the whole family, and famous EJ's Wings. Contact Sarah to book a party for friends, coworkers, or family at Matson's Bowling and Billiards, just south of 48th and Holdridge.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Rick Heyman here from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sartor Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at sartorheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
Hi, Kendall Warnock here, owner of A1 Automotive in Seward. We're more than just an automotive repair shop. We're part of this community. Our mission is simple: serve people well, build trust, and provide reliable vehicle repairs at a fair price. From oil changes to diagnostics, major repairs, we're here to help keep your family safe on the road. A1 Automotive, 408 Main Street, Seward, Nebraska.
Hey, Nebraska sports fans. This summer, professional tennis returns to Lincoln. Watch rising stars of the ATP Tour compete for over $100,000 in prize money for the 2026 Lincoln Challenger from July 12th to the 19th at the Sid and Hazel Dillon Tennis Center. Witness top tennis pros compete right here in Lincoln and experience tennis close-up like never before. To purchase tickets or to sign up for volunteer opportunities, please visit www.lincolnchallenger.com. Not just a stop, a stage. Lincoln Challenger 2026.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at gainatrucking.com.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
What up, we're back. Jay Foreman, Austin Orman, second segment. Once again, Old School is out here representing. We are brought to you by Graham Tire of Lincoln, or Graham Tire, 4 locations in Lincoln. Look them up, grahamtire.com, and they will hook you up. Austin's heading there next week. I was there. Great service, great people, and obviously great knowledge. But we are live out here at the Sid and Hazel Dillon Tennis Facility. It's starting to pick up. You're starting to see people start to file in and watch these matches. We just had the announcement of all the tennis players, so now you get to really see some professionals get down and busy. So it's really cool to see people start to file in. It's going to be here all week from obviously the 12th to the 19th. It's going to pick up the intensity and the action. This is the third year that the ATP Professional Tour, the Challenger, has been here in Lincoln. Has grown every year. It's been supported in great facilities out here at the University of Nebraska. So come out. Listen, I know it's a little warm, but they did we had him on, and he said, one of the biggest things they did, they have tents there over the main court. They have tents down there for the players and families. So you will be in some shade, and they also have beverages and obviously great concession stands as well. So, Austin, you were on it before I could even say anything, is that I sent you the depth chart of, I don't know what website it was, but it was
it's just some
bootleg website, but they get it from somewhere. And they went through the depth chart, and especially it's interested in the offensive line. So the offensive line goes Pritchett.
Okay. Yep.
Mabinga, Evans, Black, and my man Tree.
Mm-hmm.
So probably that's what they went and got in the transfer portal. So that's what, the 5 starters, and they obviously earned it. Obviously Jeep Wade has done a good job, and obviously, they've developed. You're not just getting a job. I think they've all kind of got under his tutelage and done well. But I think it's interesting when you look at the second team, right? Because you always, the best offensive lines I've been a part of even in high school, college, and the pros, you have your top 8, right?
Sure.
You have, ideally you have a swing tackle, a backup center that can play center and guard, and then you have a guard that can play, almost every position in the pinch, right? And maybe you go 9, right? So then you look at the left tackle, you have Gunnar Gatula, who has a ton of starting experience, and I will say this, for Gunnar, obviously had a couple of minor hiccups there as far as injury goes or being hurt sometimes. For him to get thrown in there a couple years ago against Illinois, right, and handle himself, he did not, in my opinion, look like uncomfortable. He did pretty well, played well. Obviously needs to get better at some things, but I think if you can have a guy like Gunnar Gatula, who has a ton of starting experience and has played multiple positions, played some at guard, as your backup left tackle, I think that's good. It provides competition, but also security, right?
Yeah, if that's a guy that you, before the transfer portal opened, were slotting into a starting spot somewhere on the
top
line,
5,
you felt fine about it, right? You weren't like, Nebraska needs depth there. Like you said, I mean, he's not young anymore, but he's not old, right? There should be more in the tank for him, and he's, like you said, played pretty darn well when he's been on the field. So if he's a backup, hopefully that means good things for Nebraska's Lions, because Gunnar Gatula is a more than serviceable Big Ten football player.
Yeah, and then so he's gonna provide some depth, and then obviously, if Pritchett doesn't perform, you have a guy that you feel comfortable in there starting, and obviously you would like to see a uptick in obviously production on the Jeep Wade. I'm sure that's it. So if this holds true, he's the number 2 guy. Then at left guard, I think this is interesting. There's a guy that came in. I think he was very, very close to being a 5-star. Is Grant Bricks has found a home at left guard. Right, they started him out at right tackle, had some at right guard. Seems like left guard is where he's at the home and had some improvement, according to the coaches as well.
Yeah, that's a young guy that you would have thought could have been challenging for playing time. Now Nebraska says, nope, we're going to go get a guy in Paul Mubenga who could come back next year potentially.
Oh, yeah, he's only a sophomore, true sophomore.
Younger guy. So there's real competition there for Grant Bricks to start to live up to that recruiting pedigree. But again, a guy that you hope has been waiting and working behind the scenes, that if he's needed in a pinch, you'd like him to be ready to step in now, right? Yeah. Maybe he doesn't win the job out of camp, but that's certainly a guy that, this year more than years prior needs to be ready to go, right? And you can't be hoping that Grant Bricks is ready to go. Even if he doesn't start, you need him. You're going to need him to be ready to go at some point this year.
Yeah, it was a big post-spring, late spring, summer, and obviously fall camp is going to be, potentially career-defining for him because, if you can play left guard, you can play right, but you got to show you got to play one before you can play another. And before we move on to another position is interesting right here. The backup center is Jake Peters. The backup right guard is Sam Sledge. Sam Sledge came in as a guard. His dad, Bob, was a dude. Sam Sledge has slowly but surely worked himself into a Big Ten type of offensive lineman, shows the versatility to go to guard, where Peters has shown that he can maybe have a home at center. But what is that? Why is that important? So if Gatula and or Kanak are your guys that tackles, backups, well, then if you have, let's just say Bricks is kind of, still just slowly but surely going on, you have Peters and Sledge that your swing guys, so you go from 8 to 9. Right. And so that's where the depth has got to be there. And that's where development has to be key. And it just doesn't stop in the summer. It starts actually, in the fall. So you got to continue to get these guys better and they got to work.
When you talk about guys 8 and 9 there on that offensive line, obviously they'll be rotated in more likely than not through the non-conference more than anything. But we know continuity and knowing who you're playing with, where they're going to step is a big deal on the offensive line. Where do guys like especially I would say Bricks, Peters, and Sledge, who haven't been on the field much, do they find reps in games outside of, end of blowouts and non-conference? Are they on special teams, field goal, or whatever?
They're on all of it.
What are they doing?
Definitely they got to be on, special teams and field goal protection. I mean, sure, obviously you want your starters out there, so forth and so on. They got to be a part of that. But then also you'd like to see them to be good enough that they can be in the rotation. I talk about all the time. Aaron Taylor, before he was the bell cow of the Pipeline 2.0, was rotating in with the original Pipeline. Now, look, he's one of the all-time greats here, but you got to start somewhere. And even when we had I call him the Pipeline 2.0 in the 95 team, you had guys like, Josh Heskew, Matt Hoskinson, Freddie Pollock, they all kind of rotated in there and got the reps. And that's how we were able to reload instead of rebuild. So Nebraska's got to get to that point of being able to do so. And that's a great point by you. I think one of the most interesting things that we can talk about here offensively, because it's rinse and repeat, are 2 things. The backup receiver, and they have Mosey as the starter backed up with Mekhi Nelson and Jamal Rule. We'll start in the running back room. Is probably going to get the most attention in the training camp, right?
Yeah,
who's going to be the starter, and what progress has Jamal Rule has made since the spring, and where is he going to be at? And then obviously who's going to be that kind of in between back.
Yeah, I think those 3 names are the ones we've heard the most throughout the off season. If you're Mosey, you tend to think you're in the driver's seat. That should give you some confidence, but you also have to know that Mekhi Nelson, if or when he returns to practice, is going to come back motivated, right? To prove himself, hey, I'm more than what happened in Florida over our week off in the summer, right? I have something to prove. You can't coast and say, oh, well, this kid's just a freshman. They're not going to play him. I've been here. You still got to earn it, because even if you're the most accomplished or second most accomplished guy in that room, that doesn't mean jack about squat at this point. Also interesting, I think, is the lack of Quentin Ives. That's a guy that every spring we hear, he looks the part, right? He's not just a bruiser. He's got the home run speed. You saw him in
and he
spurts.
looked decent this spring.
Yeah, he looks fine. Yeah. But to me, Quentin Ives is in that, Divine Zigbo, Gabe Irvin camp. And I know
you got to show me.
You got to show me, right? For Irvin, it was injuries. Before he got buried down the depth chart and ultimately transferred. For Divine Zigbo, he was all the way down until opportunity struck. And, I think for an older guy like Quentin Ives, I would say better late than never, right? It's a guy that the coaching staff has been high on. They've been able to retain him. I know it hasn't been the exact same, offense and system or anything, but I do think there's real opportunity there. If Quentin Ives is who this coaching staff has continued to tell us he is, I think there's a pathway for him to be, Divine Ozigbo 2.0. Would I bank on it? No, but the opportunity's got to be there for it.
Yeah, and you never know what type of opportunity that is. Could it start out that you're the short yardage back or the guy that, is the red zone back where you're able to, get a lot of carries inside the red zone and then you can get touchdowns and then something happens, then you get, a bigger piece of the pie. I think, the progress that he's made being healthy, right? And they said he was leaner, so he looked better. I think he could be the guy that's going to be the surprise and eat up some. Now he's got to handle it, but for him, the body is there, and now he's got to make his own opportunity. And sometimes that's where you're at. Before we flip the defense real quick, when you look at the depth chart at wide receivers, we know where the quarterbacks are going to be. Is Calander, Latif, obviously Daniel Kalen. That ain't changing. It hadn't changed since he got here, right? So let's look at the wide receivers, right? You know who the starters are, but more importantly, real short, Austin, how important is it that Quinn Clark either continues the progress, 2, he's set up to continue the progress, and 3, takes advantage of the opportunity?
Yeah, that's been my guy all off season, and he's listed as behind Isaiah Hunter. We'll see, who he officially rotates in for, but you saw flashes from Quinn Clark last year, and I don't want to do the thing that I accuse so many other, Husker fans of doing in anointing him too early. But I like what I've seen from Quinn Clark. He looks the part. He's played the part where you can't tell me Quinn Clark couldn't have done last year what Dane Key did for Nebraska. And I think that's a guy that, if given opportunity, could produce. This depth chart has him listed behind Isaiah Hunter, who, according to some, might be the best player on Nebraska's team, might be the best receiver on Nebraska's team, could challenge for a 1,000-yard year. And again, has looked the part at times.
Yeah.
But Isaiah Hunter, whether through something he did or didn't do on the field, or just the way Nebraska's offense was operating last year, had the moments with the tunnel screens, the bubble screens, where he looked incredible and was a game-changing player, and then just completely got shut out of games as well. So if he's not going to take that next step forward and he's not going to be effective for 12-plus games, then, okay, Quinn Clark, you're going to get your chances, right, just to try something new, because Hunter and Clark aren't the same player. If Isaiah Hunter is shut down and he's, either getting double teamed or just ineffective, Quinn Clark, can you go in there, provide something different and make this your game? So if you get 6 good games from Isaiah Hunter, is Quinn Clark there to pick up the slack in the other 6 games in terms of actual on-field production?
Yeah, and the red zone's got to be key, but the growth is probably more important. And that we won't know that until you start to hear reports coming out of training camp.
Mm-hmm.
He controlled it by whatever he did in the offseason. Obviously, you got Mills, and then you got Bonner in there listed number 2. But you got Jeremiah Jones as well, who probably has just as much as potential as Quinn Clark. And then obviously, let's not forget Keelan Smith. So they have a lot of depth there and options. They know who the starters are. Now the options have to become knowns as far as the backup and who gets into the rotation, because they showed last year they will play a lot of guys.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to be productive. And so if you have an uptick in being able to pass the ball in medium range and obviously vertical or big play and explosive, there should be a lot of guys that have the opportunity to step up and show out. But you need your bell cows to be the bell cows, and they got to lead the way. So we're going to take a quick break, come back, give a quick synopsis, a quick little look at the defense. We'll dive into it more later in the week on Wednesday. There's some interesting starters. Obviously, we're going to focus on the first and second level after this break. Jay Foreman, Austin Orman, we'll be right back.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you looking for a place to host company get-togethers, team meetings, or group events? Back 9 Golf in South Lincoln is the perfect place to host your gathering, with private bays available to meet with clients while you swing the sticks and improve your game. Back 9 Golf offers traditional golf opportunities while also providing fun games and activities available for non-traditional golfers on their top-of-the-line full-swing simulators. Learn about their corporate memberships today and gather your favorite groups together at Back 9 Golf in South Lincoln, just off 14th and Pine Lake Road.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Anderson Ford in Lincoln has 2 convenient locations, which means 2 times the customer service, 2 times the inventory, and 2 times the ability to get you in the car of your dreams. Whether you visit us on the north side or the south side, you'll find more selection and a team that's always on your side. When you're looking for a better way to buy your next Ford, visit Anderson Ford in Lincoln, where exceptional service meets unbeatable selection.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Rick Heyman here from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sartor Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at sartorheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
Graham Tire presents life's greatest adventures.
Okay, buddy, here we go. Just keep your eye on the ball. All right, just swing right through it. Yeah, good job. Way to go. Hey, run it out. Okay.
Great road trips start with great service. Graham Tire, your tire store next door, with 5 convenient Lincoln locations, getting you to the places that matter most.
Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for Ready Mixed Concrete in Lincoln and Palmyra. Ready Mixed offers great pay, medical and retirement benefits, paid time off, and they cover the cost of CDL training. Apply with Ready Mixed Concrete today to be eligible for a $2,500 hiring bonus. From Nebco's beginning in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today with Ready Mixed Concrete. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Greens Furnace and Plumbing has been servicing the southeast Nebraska area since 1921, specializing in HVAC systems, bathroom remodels, duct cleaning, backflow testing, and so much more. With a network of trained technicians ready to assist you, Greens Furnace and Plumbing is your source for dedicated commercial HVAC services for your business, building, or even your home so it can run without unwanted interruption. Learn more by visiting their website at callgreens.com or give them a call at 402-467-4444 today.
Building a new home can be a challenge, a lot of big choices. With our Remington homes, we have designed 15 different floor plans that appeal to a wide range of people.
Bob Benish of Aspen Builders, talking about Remington Homes, which makes the home building process easier.
People really enjoy being able to go to our website, which is remingtonlincoln.com, pick a plan, pick a price point, go through and build it yourself. You have a lot of options, whether you want granite, painted trim, wood floors, more stone, all options with our Remington homes. People do not want to be married to their house payment. You're able to get what you really want in a home for a great price with very limited stress. And that's what Remington Homes are all about.
Home building is easier with a Remington home from Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at remingtonlincoln.com. remingtonlincoln.com.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Well, we're back. Jay Foreman, Austin Orman, quick segment here. Once again, we're out here at Sid and Hazel Dillon Tennis Facility. Challenger event, just getting started. Getting a little bit of cloud cover, not much, but a little bit of breeze. So definitely come out, start to pick up some good tennis, more intensity, and obviously good action all week long out here. And we'll be out here potentially, at least 3 or 4 more days. But Austin, before we went to break, I was talking about the defensive depth chart, right? And obviously I want to particularly focus on the first 2 levels, right? And I didn't give you a good screenshot, right?
That's right. I got it.
I got you.
We're good.
And so, look, you got Riley Van Poppel, which I think is a huge year for him, right? He's playing a 4-man front, more probably along the lines of what he's skill set for. And then you got Owen Stoudemire, who came in from Boston College, right? Mm-hmm. And so he has to play big because it's kind of like, Batman and Robin inside. So he's got to do a lot of the dirty work potentially, then obviously be very productive when need be. So Riley Van Poppel and everybody else can be really well. He has to play really, really good at the point of attack. And then from there, he's got to be able to, set the table for his counterparts. But the one guy that's also very interesting, though, right? It's a little bit on the undersized, without a doubt, is Jashir Whittington, right? Very quick. They said he has the best hands as far as playing heavy-handed, as far as the defensive line. And obviously a very good coach coming from Pittsburgh. For him, I think he is probably the most important player, or one of them, because he has to provide instant pass rush tackles for loss. Like I don't know how much he weighs. You hear some people say he's 250, some say 260. Let's just say he's 265. That's not the size of a Big Ten defensive lineman, but they said the same thing about Aaron Donald as well going to the NFL. So you have to be very, very productive, play in and play out. You got to be impeccable with your technique, but you have probably the best skill set to be effective in the pass rush game than everybody in that interior defensive line room. So you have to be productive. You got paid to come here. You have to produce.
Which is probably why he's listed as the backup here with that size, maybe more of a situational type of guy, right? Because like you said, if he's 265 playing in the middle against some of those maulers, that's probably not a 3-down type of player.
Right.
And so if he's able to make his money where Nebraska needs him to in that situational sort of pass rush, or, hey, we just need a dude who knows what he's doing out there, hold his own in the run game, find ways to get after the passer in some of those creative situations. That goes a long way. But, of course, the guy listed behind them, Malcolm Simpson.
Yeah.
That's a pretty highly touted name. And you can go across this whole defensive line here, Jay. Cam Lenhart, Riley Van Poppel, Owen Stoudemire, and Williams Winneri.
Yeah.
3 of those guys kind of strike me as the veteran presence, right? The guys that you trust out there because of their experience. And Winneri's played, his fair share of college football after last year, but it strikes me as the upside option.
Yeah.
In front of the, Mr. Reliable Anthony Jones, who's never put up huge stats throughout his time in the Big Ten. But then behind those other 3 guys, behind Lenhart, Cade Pedchock.
Yeah.
What's the ceiling versus floor trade-off?
What's year 2 like for him? And show some flashes. Mm-hmm. Now you got to really step up. And what have you done to add? What tools have you added to your toolbox, right, in the run game and pass game?
Yeah, and then LaFotu behind Riley Van Poppel.
Yeah.
It's a big year for Riley Van Poppel. Kind of seems like a put up or shut up year for him in a lot of ways. Haven't seen much of LaFotu on the field, but it's a guy that should be able to push Riley Van Poppel at this point. And then we talked about Stoudemire and Whittington, obviously.
Yeah, I think that whole defensive line, I guess your interior and edges, right? And I don't know if that's what they call them. So all are improve it years. Mm-hmm. The great thing about it, like the majority of this team, is you're going to go through this process together. Nobody's going to step on that field and feel secure that I would say guaranteed a spot, and not no way should they ever be coasting, but that you've arrived. Yeah. And that's a good thing, because as a coach, motivation should just be every single day, because you don't know where you'll be on the depth chart, but you got to produce, because, kind of going in there and working out in the offseason is one thing. Now you're going to really prepare and get ready for the season is another. So what they've done in the offseason is going to be interesting, and see who steps up, because you can't say it is an opportunity. Nobody on this, maybe Stoudemire, just because, maybe what they paid and his longevity, but nobody's been so productive that they feel like, okay, I'm head and shoulders that guy. Then I want to talk about this before we get up out of here. Owen Chambliss, he came over here with Coach Orich, obviously for San Diego State, one of the first defensive guys they got out of the portal. So, he's going to start. He's going to play majority of the plays, probably 80-85% of the plays. So you got to figure like, okay, he's like the one known, right? He's been very productive year in and year out for the last 2 years, specifically at San Diego State. You're going to expect the same. It will be an adjustment for him in the Big Ten, but it's up to him to make that adjustment. The biggest thing is over here at the other linebacker spot. Vincent Shavers and Dexter Foster, and do not forget about Pierce Moberry. How that shakes out, if Vincent Shaver plays up to his potential, and then Dexter Foster continues to improve and stays healthy and plays at his potential, it's a double bonus for that defense because it gives you flexibility, number one. It gives you depth, but then also it lets you know these guys went out and really took advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah, and I wonder how situational that linebacker rotation will be as well. Foster's obviously pretty darn productive against the run, not the biggest guy. Do you want Shaver's athleticism if you think you're in the open field?
Yeah.
Do you want Foster more if it's coming downhill at you? But I also kind of like the idea of a Chambliss-Shavers Jr. pairing. Like you said, obviously there's some, Big Ten step up for Chambliss to get used to. But if you can depend on him as Mr. Reliable to be in the right place at the right time,
lead the defense, make the checks and all that. Yeah.
Does that free Vincent Shavers Jr. up to, I don't want to say freelance or free range, but if you have one reliable guy, can you get away with having more of a wild card big play kind of player on the other side of things? You just let Vincent Shavers Jr. go hunt because Owen Chambliss can, cover for him a little bit if he's caught out of position. He has the sideline to sideline ability to get there if Shavers is a step behind because he was trying to go make a play.
Yeah, you can do a little bit of both, and we'll get out of here on this. I think, in order to do that, I think that's where you're going to have Dexter Foster step up. He's got to be Mr. Consistency there. Owen Chambliss has made his hay on the weak side. That means Vincent Shaver could be playing big nickel, displaced, allows your playmaking ability to go through the roof because you don't have much garbage to work through. Then you kick him inside, then he's kind of try to embody more Foster, right? So when you play that middle linebacker position, you got to be a totally different mindset. So we shall see, and let's not forget about Dawson Merritt. When healthy, probably has the best closing ability and probably playmaking ability. 5-star recruiter himself, I think, wasn't he? Or no, he was almost a Bama commit. So he's got to get, some production there and opportunity. So we'll dive in more of this when I'm back on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. For my man, Austin Orman, Jay Foreman, we're old school. We'll holler at you this week.